Hello. What's up? Just gotta put my phone to the side real quick. Okay. Hey, how's it going? What's good, Six? I've got a video idea that I want to work on. We're just gonna, well, not a video idea. It's not. It's not really video. It's not really a video. Um, Let me separate this. No, let's not make it. Let's not completely enlarge it. Okay. Let's have this on the side. Ooh, this. Okay. Let's fix up all of this real quick. How's everybody doing today? How is everyone? I can't get this. How are you guys doing? Catch me up. You had a good amount of subs since, yeah, I got about 30 subs or something. So, excited about that. We'll see how everything else goes once more people show up. I'm not going to be on for too long. Hopefully this is only about an hour side quest. Sorry about the sudden schedule change for Friday. My friends invited me to go see the... you're fine. Hey, listen, you're fine. I do want to do it, but at the end of the day, you guys also have your own lives. So it's completely fine. We can always reschedule. I don't think it's like something that has to be like done now, you know what I mean? So, yeah. We will reschedule. I'll talk to my mods in our personal channel, and we'll fix that stuff up. Don't you worry about it, Drake. We'll try to reschedule for that. Listen, life happens. So there's a topic of conversation that was brought up by one of my Discord members, IMAX. He's actually the guy that gave us the last video idea. Now, as I mentioned before, I wasn't exactly happy with the results of the video. More so just because I realized there was just so much extra that I needed to talk about, and I just didn't have the time. I just wanted to put out the video. I don't know if I'm going to turn this stream into a video, but there is a topic of conversation that I do think... would be very much so interesting to go over completely when, when it's brought up, when it's just randomly brought up. Oh yeah, wasn't there some kind of debate that was going to be streamed, the one between Discord peeps? Yes, so that stream was going to be this Friday, but one of the debaters is going to be busy. I don't know if there were like that many people that honestly wanted to do the debate on stream, which is completely fine, all things considered. I mean, all things considered, though, things happen. It's fine. It's not something that I'm also like fiending for, like something that like I need to do in order to make the channel grow. It was just something that the mods brought up. I also thought it would be fun. It happens when it happens. Life continues. It's fine. So there was an idea. Yeah, it was supposed to be earlier in the month, but again, stuff happens. It's all good, man. I'm not one to really try to rush people. I just got my mom to subscribe to the channel. I appreciate it, Six. I appreciate it. Tell her I said thank you. It means a lot. There's a topic of conversation that IMAX brought up to me that honestly it got my brain juices flowing. I thought about, hey, maybe I'll throw this into the pile of video ideas that I could work on, but it honestly kind of just got me thinking about like how crazy Naruto versus One Piece just is as a whole. I've always argued off of the axis that just the One Piece verse is blatantly faster, discussed to like such a disgusting margin. Rico also said he wasn't able to do it that weekend. He just didn't at you, so you didn't see it. Oh, okay, it's fine. That actually clarifies things for me. Thank you so much for letting me know. Hey, I mean, all turned out well in the end, right? So there's there's this like really disgusting difference in terms of just speed scaling, at least between what is quantifiable versus what isn't. That when I got this video topic idea, it just sort of got me thinking about a couple of things, and I thought, well, all right, you know what? Maybe I don't make a whole video on this. I think honestly, the topic as a whole was too large to for me to just make another 30-minute video on it. I mean, I was essentially going to be talking about what 5 characters that had next to no scaling versus 2 characters from Naruto, and you know, it just felt like it would be a lot. Calcfish also sent me a couple of stuff that I can talk about on a later stream, but I kind of did want to focus on this one for today just because it's it gets it gets pretty gross. If I do turn this into a video, I'll have it posted right here. It essentially, I only don't open up Discord right now just because I seem to be having issues with it. I've been struggling to like really sign in, so please bear with me. I'll be reading it from my phone. Team 7, Kakashi, Sakura, Naruto, and I'm assuming Sai or Sasuke versus the Fishman army, and Naruto has to deal with the Noah his own way. Okay? I think that was an interesting topic of conversation, right? So the original idea was, can Team 7 stop the new Fishman pirates, right? Can Team 7 stop the new Fishman pirates? Now, as Halo Jeff just mentioned, which version of Team 7? It didn't specify. I assumed it's open-ended enough to where I can just, you know, mess around with different versions of the question, but I decided, you know, off the top of my head, I was like, you know what? Let me talk about Naruto and Sasuke, Kakashi and Sakura from the Fourth Great Ninja War. Now, I think that people would automatically have a problem if I brought up, let's say, the final versions of the characters, sort of Six Paths, Naruto, Sasuke, etc. Some people would probably be like, Eon, come on, this is a no-brain curb stomp for Naruto and the others. Six Paths Naruto just throws Rasen Shurikens and stuff, and I'm like, okay, well, you know, I'm not going to try to put too much thought into that. Let's just do KCM2. I haven't brought up KCM2 yet. I haven't really discussed it in the channel. But the thing is that, like, if we actually go to, like, you know, the Fishman arc, that's a fuck ton of fishmen. It's 100,000 fishmen that they would have to go through, right? And I don't think necessarily, like, it's too abhorrent for me to say that, you know, like, Naruto and the others would have the capacity to take down, let's say, 100,000 fishmen or whatever. I don't think it's, like, the craziest thing for me to say either, you know, again, without having scaled the fishmen first. But I figured, hey, listen, let me start off with this version of the characters first, and then, you know, try to break it down, right? Why did we just had the Ninja Alliance versus the Fishman Army? So hold off on that for just a second. What's the greatest number of clones Naruto's produced quantifiably? I don't know if it was outright stated, but I think it was like 1,000, and if we're going by like Six Paths Naruto, I think it was like 10,000, right? By the way, hi to everyone that's just joining in. I hope you guys enjoy the stream. We're going to just go over this. Now, I didn't think about this conversation as a whole. I think there are way too many factors for me to have to talk about beyond just, you know, something like Naruto and B versus 10 battleships and 5 guys. Marine soldiers are absolutely fodder. Let's just make that clear, right? So they're not even a factor in the conversation, and any of the ships can be taken down by tailed beast bombs. The point of that video was just to talk about Naruto and Sasuke versus the 5 admirals. Vice admirals, I should say. Let me really specify that. But, you know, a lot of the scaling for that was next to unquantifiable. Now, the reason why I kind of sort of wanted to talk about this on stream was because in addition to fighting these giant sea beasts, the giant Surume or the giant Kraken that's guaranteed stated to be 300 meters tall, or altogether like long or wide or whatever it is. I know that there's a actual data book entry that gives us the direct size for this thing. It's like 300 meters. I'll again, if it's up on a video, if I end up turning into a video, it will be up on the screen. Would Team 7 Jutsu work on the Noah since it's underwater? So there are a lot of factors that go into just this conversation as a whole that would make talking about a video next to impossible. Well, not next to impossible, but it would make me have to basically make a ton of, unquantifiable assumptions that I think would garner similar responses to that video, right? So, water pressure could be an issue. As Diode asks, is water pressure really an issue? I thought the bubbles protected them from that. Yes, water pressure isn't necessarily an issue if you have the special bubbles that the pirates and the fishmen sort of have. Well, not the fishmen, but the pirates are allowed to use during this point in time. For those of you that may not know, in One Piece, there are special bubbles that are used at specific points in the especially around this point in the story, that essentially allow the ships and these characters at this point in the story that give them the opportunity to essentially withstand the massive pressure that would constitute being at these kind of depths in the ocean. Fishman Island resides somewhere around 10,000 meters below the surface. Actually, it's stated right here that by Robin that Kemi said it's 32,000 feet under the sea. And they had to go at least another 10,000 feet to go. They're using feet right here, which I assume it's 10,000 meters, total. Now, Luffy and the others did have like these little water bubbles that they had to go through, but one thing that I may have not have mentioned is that, at least in Naruto's case, I don't think he can make a bubble, at least one that covers just the entirety of his body, large enough to house the entirety of the Kurama avatar. Another thing that I, under no circumstance, can give you a definitive answer for is whether or not the Kurama avatar can withstand 10,000 meters worth of pressure. Based on water pressure, even fodder fishermen are over all for one. Or over the guy genuinely thought he'd die at 500 meters deep. I don't know. I'm not someone who knows My Hero scaling to, answer that. How comparable are the pills Horty to the ninja food pellets? The ninja food pellets give you like a fuck ton of like energy, but they don't necessarily make you twice as strong for every pill that you eat. Yeah, I think 6 ideas better. You can glaze Sukuna. I haven't come up with the matchup yet, but I was thinking JJK versus Bleach matchup, specifically Arrancar are characters that scale does match up pretty well, so I thought it would be interesting. I think that's interesting too, and I'll pin you back to this. I kind of just want to focus on this topic of conversation for the stream because I might genuinely turn it into a video, right? By the way, if any Team 7 member gets knocked into the water, they would be subjected to 14,500 PSI, 98 megapascals of pressure. Yeah, that's a fuck ton. And as you've mentioned, yeah, the food pellets don't actually act as inherent multipliers. They're really not even comparable. Now, you guys are bringing up a lot of questions, and these are some of the questions that I actually thought of myself when, thinking up of this topic of conversation. There's also the fact that the Straw Hat Pirates would have to fight, not only, again, these massive sea beasts, which Naruto should easily be capable of taking, Naruto should be easily capable of taking care of most of these guys. I mean, Surume would probably make up, the vast majority, would probably take up, the vast majority of, let's say, a tailed beast bomb, but let's just say Naruto's tailed beast bombs, if they can blow up mountains, would probably be about as large as this thing right here, right? They shouldn't have an issue taking down the Fishman. I don't think that is the issue. But there are multiple Fishman pirates, and I want to first go over Naruto's scaling as a whole before I even talk about the Fishmen. I know Naruto characters don't have the best durability, which is why I'm mentioning this. And you are right, Lapis. Naruto characters do have decent durability showings. I'm sure that anyone who would pop up here in the stream or would pop up in the comment section would say, hey, listen, Eon, there's this feat of, like, let's say, I'll just bring it up myself. There's probably like this feat right here of Kisame taking the Hirudora that shook an island. Like, let's not be disingenuous, Eon. Let's not be disingenuous, One Piece stands. Naruto characters genuinely do have good feats, and yes, kind of yes and no. They still die to swords, they still die to specific kinds of attacks that pierce their body, so on and so forth. That's not to say that One Piece characters, the same can't happen to them, but in some cases, like, let's say, I don't know, Luffy tanking the Boros breath from Kaido straight on. I don't really see that many Naruto characters just straight up tank a tailed beast bomb by comparison. How are you doing, Julian? Wasn't Kisame's ace in the hole moving a water bubble to suffocate foes? It was his ace in the hole, but it's not necessarily the entire point. I think what you're referring to is when Kisame fuses with Samehara and creates the giant water shockwave that, yeah, creates a giant bubble. However, the issue with that is less about the pressure that suffocates the foes, more so it's the fact that they can't breathe. Now, I was actually thinking about this moment right here, specifically since I don't think that Kisame, at least by this point in the story, is necessarily at, like, let's say, tip-top shape. He does absorb some of B's chakra in order to, like, gain back some mass. And he can also absorb some extra chakra from, this guy right here, in order to, again, make himself a bit more powerful. He can block one of Guy's kicks, he can try to escape, and Guy can use the sixth gate to, you know, get near Kisame, blast away by creating a bunch of friction in the air that sends out flaming fists, yada yada yada. You guys get what happens here, right? But I don't think that Kisame, at least at this point, is at his best. He took some chakra from B. He didn't take an entire array of Tailed Beast Chakra or Tail's worth of Tailed Beast Chakra, and he also didn't take away, let's say, a fuck ton of chakra from that random shinobi dude that, like, knows Genjutsu. There's a reason why I bring this up, and if I may, does anybody know the chapter where Kisame fights the 8 Tails? I think it was actually after this, so let's look up these chapters over here. The reason why I do want to bring this up is... Shit, I actually don't know... Do I have it personally? I should have it, right? This is a bit of a side tangent, granted, that we are going into... Oh, it's the 70s. It's 471. This is a bit of a side tangent that we are going into. It's also because, you know, Kisame doesn't necessarily want to take a, you know, pencil that is being infused with chakra to the head either, right? I don't think it's something that he would likely preferably have to tank, but that's neither here nor there, right? If you think that he could tank it, sure. If you don't, that's fine. But one thing, the reason why I bring up this little point right here about, like, durability is because this V2 Lariat did more damage to Kisame, at least visibly and I would say objectively, than the Hirudora that I know a lot of people would like to say that Kisame tanked. I don't believe, at least at that point, that he necessarily tanked the Hirudora. More so, it subdued and overpowered his jutsu. But again, if you want to say that he survived, like, the full brunt of it, that's completely fine. I mean, he does have heavy damage showings here. So this all depends on what you want to believe, right? And I'm happy you're having a fantastic day, Julian. Their durability is very inconsistent, which is why I mentioned this as well, which could mean if they get BFR'd into the ocean, they quite literally would end up like the Titan sub. Alright. Can wind, earth, fire, or lightning release be used underwater or even in the bubbles? Certain kind of jutsus actually do require you to have some kind of medium, like certain earth-style jutsus or certain water-style jutsus do require, like, you to have a medium of, like, earth or water in between. Most fire-style jutsu and most wind-style jutsus do use, like, let's say, either fans or do use some kind of, like, sickle weapon or in Naruto's case, just straight up just blast wind at the opponent. So it really does depend on the kind of jutsu that we are talking about, right? Now, as I mentioned, and as I always mention, I don't go into pixel scaling or physics-based calcs, only because there are a lot of assumptions that need to be made in order for those calcs to work. I'm not saying that you shouldn't use them, because many of my mods and many of the people in the Discord do like using them, and I don't think it's an unviable way of using it. Just by my own metrics, it doesn't work. And as One Smart says, durability is often dependent on being on guard, as which I 100% agree with, and chakra, depending on whether or not you're able to enhance yourself, or you're able to use enough chakra to, let's say, block the attack. Though, again, it doesn't always seem to be the case, since, like I mentioned before, if there's a pencil going at Kisame's head, and he's aware of it, why dodge it when you can just tank it? But, you know, that's all up for whether or not you think he could. So, there's a reason why I bring this up. If I'm going to use KCM2 Naruto, and I even thought about this, let me just throw in later KCM2 plus Sage Mode. I'll actually pull up those panels from a little bit later. What is that like? That's after Sasuke shows up, so I'll just open up this page right here. Naruto doesn't get Sage Mode until after the Hokage show up. Naruto also, just to be clear, has about an 8-minute time limit when it comes to his combination with Kurama, at least by the second use. I'll put up the panel again here if this becomes a video, but the reason why I say this is because Naruto's time limit does progressively seem to increase. I think it's fair that if we were to talk about the scenario, Naruto gains about 10 minutes, maybe 15 minutes, if you really want to wank it, worth of time in KCM2 before it, just dissipates and he can no longer utilize it. Now, there's a very important reason why I'm talking about, KCM2, KCM1, is because what is the multiplier for KCM, right? I genuinely do think that it is kind of necessary to talk about what the multiplier for these jutsu might be, because you kind of, especially for this battle, and I will get to it when I talk about Horty Jones, especially for this kind of battle, Naruto needs to have light speed scaling. And I do agree, One Smart, dodging is a safer option. 100% if it does, when it takes chakra to heal or tank. Well, in this case, Kisame cannot tank it, but when it comes to healing, let's say if he can charge up, let's say, like, the side of his face to, tank the pencil, I don't think, even if you want to say, well, it would make him bleed, but, he would still need chakra to use it, I don't think it's relevant, because we do see that he does absorb, during that entire fight, we know that he does absorb a fuck ton of chakra from B, so I don't think that would necessarily be much of, a counterpoint to it, but I do agree with you, dodging is a safer option, right? Honestly, kind of wild Sasuke never learned Sage Mode himself. I mean, he doesn't necessarily need to, but he would have the chakra reserves to actually do it. Considering my research on Kid, the guy is insane on tanking hits. Yeah, no, Kid is a fucking monster, especially when it comes to tanking hits. By the way, Lapis, thank you so much for the 5 gifted memberships. Guys, I hope you guys are able to check out the benefits that you get from being members of my channel. You guys get access to the Discord. If anything, always hit me up. Just at me if you guys have ever any questions or video ideas. Everyone is more than welcome to always provide topics of conversation, etc. I can't promise if I'm ever going to do one of the videos, but if they make me think about as hard as I do for something like this, it might at least become a stream topic. I know that Calcfish Julian actually messaged me with a couple of other topics that I do want to cover on stream as well. Only because I do want to focus on rectifying that previous video, but also I do want to talk about Sukuna in One Piece. So, we'll get through all of that later on. Should Horty's throne be FTL? It might. I think it should, as Luffy bothered to use observation haki versus not needing it for the pacifista. We will be talking about it. We will be talking about all of that. Why were you using size as a metric for strength in the video? Mostly just because it doesn't necessarily matter if, and this will just be a quick side tangent, just because, here's the thing. the sea beasts are much larger than the eight tails. The eight tails doesn't necessarily have the most consistent strength feats. The real reason why I use the size scaling for that video is just because if he can knock away a beast that is what, and again I'm just throwing an arbitrary value, but like 10 times larger than the eight tails, knocking away Killer B should not be an issue. There is no amount of logic that anyone would try to use for me for either one of these series that would make me believe that if B, even if you want to say for whatever reason, he wouldn't be hurt by Red King, I do think that still punching him would send him flying across the island. If it can shatter a giant sea beast's metallic armor and send it flying and knock it down, I do think, even if you, for whatever reason, believe it can't hurt Killer B because it's not quantifiable, it should still send him flying. It doesn't matter if you don't think it can hurt him, it's a form of crowd control. Think of it like in a video game. It's simply crowd control. But anyway. So, this is the reason why I kind of wanted to make this video. So, how strong is, not even how strong, how fast is Naruto in KCM? Well, there is a big topic of conversation that needs to be had when we're talking about Naruto FTL or Lightspeed scaling. And that is Naruto and the others, are they actually Lightspeed? This kind of heavily really just does depend on what you believe the Raikage is in terms of speed. Now, let's talk about objective metrics. And I'm going to bring up the 5 Kage Summit as well, just because I know somebody's going to bring that up, right? In Naruto, when it comes to Naruto scaling, almost, and I'm going to say, and I really want to emphasize this point, almost every single light speed statement, I keep going like 100 chapters off. What is wrong with me? Almost every single Lightspeed statement within the entire scope of all of Naruto comes from the data books. That is not me being fallacious. I've read this story almost entirely this past year. I read everything up until the 4th Great Ninja War, and I know for a fact there are next to no Lightspeed statements in the 4th Great Ninja War. There's actually one Lightspeed statement in the entire Shinobi War, and that is the Mabui teleportation jutsu, where she states that the ethereal transmission jutsu allows the user to be teleported at the speed of light. That is the only Lightspeed statement in the 4th Great Ninja War. The only other Lightspeed statement within the entirety of the 4th Great Ninja War is sorry, not within the entirety of the 4th Great Ninja War, is Haku stating that he can move at the speed of light while using... Where the fuck is the 5 Kage Summit? Am I just dumb? That could also be the answer. Oh, it's around here. Okay. Yeah, it's around here somewhere. Yeah. Garp is legitimately a bum now. That's crazy. In KCM, at least Lightspeed bare minimum, maybe, even just being generous. And I'm usually generous, but I did receive some points about, like, you know... Lightspeed scaling and how, like, I just glaze over Naruto Lightspeed scale. The reason why I glaze over Naruto Lightspeed statement is mostly just because it's not really relevant if I get Naruto to Lightspeed at all. The thing that I feel like a lot of people just never really consider, especially when talking about Naruto versus One Piece, is that we are in chapter 544. This is probably the first time anyone can definitively argue. Now, I don't want to use the word definitively. This is like the only time where somebody can, like, at least cohesively, comprehensively argue that Naruto is Lightspeed. And I think that's fine. You know what? If you want to say that Naruto, just before he enters the final arc of his story, if you want to say that Naruto reached the speed of light, I think that's completely fine. You know, I don't think it throws everything out the window. I don't think it makes One Piece matchups close for Naruto characters. I just throw it in there because I'm like, listen, I can give Naruto light speed. I could give Naruto at this point 10 times the speed of light. It doesn't matter. Like, this is what I mean when I say, like, there is such a disgusting difference in terms of speed scaling for both series that me giving Naruto light speed scaling and just saying, yeah, he's light speed by this point, genuinely just doesn't matter. I could give it to him. I don't have to give that much reasoning, that much evidence. I just have to say the Raikage is almost the speed of light in V1. You can argue he's the speed of light in V2, and because Naruto dodged him, that makes him at least light speed. I think it's fine just because, like, does it really matter at the end of the day? Now, is it me necessarily being genuine? Probably not, but arguing that he is and isn't just brings up a couple more complications that I don't want to talk about. One of which is, let's just bring this up. The Raikage, right? The Raikage has no definitive light speed scaling. It says right here, Lord Raikage's nerve transmissions and his reaction speed are on par with Konoha's Yellow Flash. When they're referring to Konoha's Yellow Flash, they're referring to Minato in the Third Great Ninja War. Now, he does become far stronger and faster, if you believe that he does, around his tenure as Hokage, but that's up for interpretation. Minato himself is never even verbatim stated to be the speed of light. People just assume that he is because he teleports instantly, right? They even state right here, but Lord Raikage has manipulated Raiton Chakra to augment his reflexes. Not even the Sharingan will be able to keep up with him. See, in this case, I don't know what his experience with Sharingan users is or how well he understands them, but assuming that he does have... is Naruto still as fast in water as in land? So, I will cover all these points because I have thought up of this stuff. That's what I believe. KCM is Lightspeed, and only a live character that is Lightspeed at that point may be the Raikage as well. Right. So, the only thing that, like, really definitively says that, like, not even definitively, because, again, it doesn't state that he is Lightspeed, is the Raikage's data book statement, right? Let me just open this up right here. Okay. The AB Lariat. This is quite literally the only thing that has ever remotely implied A can run at the speed of light. And the key word here that I want people to focus on is almost. Almost at the speed of light. Now, the reason why I bring this up is because A has two versions to his lightning cloak. And I'm sure many of you know this, right? A has two versions. Version 1 and version 2. How fast is version 2 compared to version 1? Let's write this down. Okay. How big of an amp is KCM? And I want to make one thing clear. You don't want KCM to be a massive amp. I repeat. You do not want KCM to be a massive amp. The reason being, if this form is the reason why Naruto can travel, can physically move his body from one point to the other, whether it's short distance or long distance. If this form right here is what makes Naruto the speed of light, the greater, the bigger, oh, sorry, let me rephrase that. The larger of an amp KCM is, the weaker Naruto's base has to be by comparison. I'm not going to ever even remotely consider the idea that Naruto is faster than the speed of light at this point if there is no statement and no feat that definitively, 100% irrefutably says it. Unless there is something within the context of the story that said, yes, Naruto by this point was the speed of light, which there isn't, I've looked, I cannot agree with the idea that this form of Naruto is anything faster than the speed of light. So, if you think KCM for whatever reason is 100 times amp, a 500 times amp, then whatever the speed of light is, you have to divide you have to essentially consider Naruto's base being that many times slower than light. Okay. To be fair about almost the speed of light, is that assumed it was when he was doing his tagging attack with B, who is slower? You could maybe argue that, but at the same time, you can't really argue that they weren't trying to kill Kisame as quickly as possible. I don't know if it's necessarily fair to say that, like, you know, A and B aren't traveling as fast as they can, and you might be able to argue that, like, A, like you said, A is probably slowing himself down, but then the answer is, how fast is A? I don't know. And to say that he is light speed, to say that he is faster than light is, by all intents and purposes, headcanon. This is not me being disingenuous. There is legitimately nothing within the context of the story that definitively says he is faster than the speed of light. Now, I want to just make a quick comparison for you guys, right? I wanted to make a quick comparison. Actually, let me just go through this. Because I do believe I have this right here. This is Zoro. Let me extend this. This is Zoro. Zoro is crouched down and has one knee on the ground. A pacifista is charging up a laser. Not just any pacifista, PX0, which is Bartholomew Kuma. He's charging up a beam of light. I know that everyone would say, well, he's charging up a beam. Zoro is reacting to the beam charge. Zoro is still on his knees. It's still charging. Zoro is still on his knees. Zoro is still on its knees. It shot the beam. It's already flying. One of Zoro's knees, both of his hands, well, I'm not even gonna say his knees. Both of his hands are on the ground. The beam of light is already traveling. Both of his hands are still on the ground. He evades it. He dodges it. This right here, objectively speaking, is a faster feat than this. Maybe I shouldn't say objective. They're two completely different series, sure, whatever, but that is a beam of light from Zoro. That is a beam of light he just evaded. This is a guy who runs at almost the speed of light, and Naruto evaded him. Okay, this is chapter 444. This is chapter 485. Zoro, not even Luffy, Zoro from One Piece is capable of moving his body a short distance while reacting to a beam of light that is traveling in his direction and in a lower chapter count than anything you could possibly give Naruto. Okay, now that we've got that out of the way. By the way, Julian, I'm not really answering any questions that aren't specifically in relations to this topic, just because I only want to focus on this and then just get off. But no, I haven't seen them. I'm not really a fan of like classic movies from like the 80s and 90s. I'm not really a fan. Okay. So then the question is, how big of an amp is KCM? I don't know. But let's just assume Naruto is Lightspeed. Right? I've given you my reasons as to why I think it's probably not entirely definitive, but sure. Now, something that I do believe is that Naruto characters I do believe that Naruto characters do have the capacity to react to, again, let me repeat. They have the capacity to react to things that are the speed of light, but they do not have the capacity to dodge things that are the speed of light. Let's go into this. How fast is Sasuke's Amaterasu? Well, we know for a fact that Amaterasu travels when it moves, right? It doesn't just always spawn. You can see this with Itachi when he was fighting Sasuke. I'll put up the clip right now when if this is a video where Sasuke runs across from Itachi and Itachi has to follow, and you can see the trail of black flames following Sasuke, right? Okay. It's cited right here, the Amaterasu flames that ignite along one's line of sight. They also seem to travel. When Sasuke creates the flames on top of him, they are closer to him than the Raikage is trying to reach up to him, right? This is the Susanoo ribcage, the Raikage is over here. The flames are objectively closer to Sasuke than the Raikage is, right? The Raikage catches him. Cool. We're going to keep moving just a little bit. Later on, the Laser Circus Jutsu. This jutsu is stated to be rays of light, so we're going to say that they are light speed themselves. Since these beams, these kunais, this wind, and the sand all seem to hit Sasuke all at a relative speed, we're going to assume that they are all about as fast. Listen, I'm going to be honest with you. If somebody wants to be pedantic and say that, do you really think that Kankuro shooting these kunai bombs and this wind and all this shit is light speed? I don't care. It's fine. It can be light speed. That's all completely fine. Okay. Let me just let this noise pass by, because I think you guys can probably hear that. Okay. Listen, I genuinely don't care. These attacks could be all light speed. The fact is, somebody might say, well, Eon, this just proves that you're wrong. All these characters, these fodder-ass characters like Kankuro and Temari also have light speed feats. So, yeah, the Narutoverse is light speed. And I would say, well, yes and no. They have jutsu, attacks, long-range attacks at that all travel independently of their own capability of moving, right? Gaara is not running at the speed of light. Temari is not moving at the speed of light. Kankuro is not moving at the speed of light. Darui is not running at Sasuke at the speed of light. They are all standing still, shooting their blasts at Sasuke. And if you wanted to say, yeah, but Sasuke has light speed reaction time, why isn't this a feat for you? It is, sure, it can be a feat, but again, it is a reaction-based feat. I said this before when it came to Sasuke and Itachi, where... I'll just open up another panel, actually. Let me just open up another thing for you guys. I've said this before where I've said, the Susanoo can 100% spawn at the speed of light. Again, I do not mind it. I think that is all genuinely fine. If you think the Susanoo can spawn at the speed of light, I think it's completely fine, right? Also, here's an example, right? Where Itachi is using Amaterasu, Sasuke is moving, he dodges the line of sight, right? The line of sight does not inherently need to be light speed. And where he is moving his eye to the left, and right here you can see it, it's trailing behind Sasuke, right? Okay, there's a reason why I bring this up, and it's because there is a big contradiction within the context of the story that says, at least as far as Zetsu goes, that says, this jutsu guides the lightning striking down from the heavens. In short, I merely direct its power towards you. Just as I thought, which is why it cannot be evaded. Why not? The speed of lightning is 1/1000th of a second. It's faster than sound. Now, I've had some conversations with one of my mods, actually 2 of my mods specifically about this. Actually, 3 of them. I remember 6 was there too. If that's correct, that would mean Lee would be speed of light because Lee saved Guy from the TSO, who Gaara said his sand isn't fast enough to intercept Madara's attacks, which Minato had to do to save in front of Guy. That's fair. Amaterasu generally spawned. Itachi made his exiting flame chase Sasuke. Sasuke makes Amaterasu spawn around himself because he was having trouble visually tracking. Hey, fair. That's all fair. Best comparison is if I shoot a gun, am I as fast as a bullet? 100%. That's a really fair comparison. I love how all 3 of those elements turn into generic fiery explosions. Yeah. Anyway, okay. So, the source material says Kirin is the speed of lightning, right? And we obviously know that Kirin isn't just lightning itself because it turns into a giant fucking mythological creature. Whether Sasuke is just shaping it that way or it actually is, listen, I don't care. It's fine. It's all completely fine. Also, I have to rename this real quick, so quick, wait, no. So I have to, just, let me throw in a name here. Okay. Now let me look this up real quick. Kirin Databook. Databook Naruto. The Kirin Databook Lightspeed statement says... I'll just grab it from here. Again, I don't care. Is it not here, actually? Okay. Low impact, create lightning, blah, 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 blah. What the fuck? Collapse the enemies, lightning shade curing, in a flash. This one doesn't even say that it's fucking light speed. What the fuck? Does that cure in light speed? Does that cure in data book entry doesn't say that it's light speed? What the fuck? That's crazy. All right. I'll take this one. I don't care. Again, we're just using random shit here. I don't care. Wait, not this one. Ninjutsu compared disadvantages. What the fuck? I need the... Dude, can I just get the fucking lightspeed statement somewhere? What does Naruto Versity say? Fuck it. Listen, I'll throw it up on screen. We all know about the Kirin lightspeed statement, right? Whatever. See you later, Michael. Hope you have a good one, man. Okay. Whatever. The data book statement completely contradicts what Zetsu thinks. The data book statement completely contradicts what Zetsu thinks. Is the comment that it can't be dodged referring to normal humans and not amped by jutsus? Probably. Yeah, I don't know, actually. I don't know where the fuck that lightspeed statement is. I know I had it in my other laptop, but you guys already know what happened to that. Lost all my files, so fuck it. I'll just look for it in my own time and just throw it up on screen whenever I find it. Anyway. We know for a fact that that statement specifically contradicts Zetsu's own statement right here. Now, should you take the source material? Should you take the data book? That's up to you. Regardless, at its peak, this jutsu right here should be lightspeed. And when Itachi blocked it, obviously he didn't block the entirety of it because he clearly took some damage. If we see that he was wearing his cloak before, as you can see right here, he was wearing his cloak before. He took the attack, which means the Susanoo can spawn at the speed of light. If you really want to just argue it from that front, all we know is that the Susanoo can be spawned at the speed of light. That's all I really needed to go here, right? That's why I went into this whole little side tangent. The Raikage. Somebody is willing to say, well, the Raikage blitzes Sasuke multiple times, right? And if Sasuke is trying to find the Raikage in all of these things, and the Raikage can move at almost the speed of light, unlike this moment over here, where Sasuke has his back against the wall. Sasuke has, let me show you, his back against the wall. These attacks are targeting him, so he has nowhere to go. He spawns the Susanoo. With the Raikage, he can go front, back, left, right. He can attack Sasuke from all sides. Okay. So yeah, there is technically lightspeed scaling if you want to go by the data book entries. But it is not as definitive as some people may think, because again, nothing within the context of the story is verbatim within the context of the source material is stating verbatim, this guy is lightspeed. This guy can react to the speed of light, so on and so forth. Even the fucking laser circus is a goddamn data book statement. Okay, so now that I went through all of that, let's talk about Naruto. I have no idea how powerful this fucking form is. I really don't. He says he's stronger than when he fought Pain, which I'm assuming, if you believe, that he's talking about his current self with KCM. He's maybe mentioning, and I mean, obviously Naruto has gotten much stronger than when he fought Pain. You can see it when he fights Kurama. You can see it a whole bunch of other times. It's not just KCM itself. It's simply just the fact that, Naruto himself has been getting progressively stronger. The stronger Naruto's base is, the stronger and faster Naruto's base becomes before he dodges the Raikage. The lower the amp KCM must have. This is why I think it's very important to have these kinds of discussions. Naruto's base has to be dog shit weak if you think that KCM is like 100, 500, 1,000 times amp. It has to be way lower than we think, maybe a 10 times, 15 times, 20 times amp, if Naruto's base is anything even remotely close to, like, let's say, Kakashi by the Fourth Great Ninja War, right? And you're right, Kishimoto just doesn't write like that. It's a lot more show don't tell. And I agree with you. Writers in shonen, and anyone who writes, let's say, comic books, etc., they do have to care about power scaling. Kishimoto, Oda, Kubo, they all have to care about power scaling, because in a series where a character has to be the strongest, a character has to be the weakest, and you have all of these different little subsections and factions of characters that appear throughout your story that have to be, in some semblance, stronger or weaker than others, you have to be able to maintain that. When I say that writers have to care about their power scaling, I don't mean in reference to versus battles, cross-verse battles like we do as power scalers, and I also don't mean in regards to, well, Kishimoto has to make his story, has to think about the power scaling in the context of how strong One Piece or Bleach are, right? He doesn't have to give a shit about how strong any other mangaka or any other author or whatever. He doesn't have to care about how strong they make their characters. He just has to care about how strong he's making his own characters, right? Because making characters too strong can end up making the series difficult to write, and that's why I feel like final war arcs are like the perfect place to really go all out. I don't think he's necessarily referencing to Edo Nagato specifically, only because we know for a fact that Edo Nagato should be much more powerful than Pain if he's soloing Naruto B and specifically, while also having his body being taken over. I think Naruto specifically differentiates Pain from Naruto. I agree with that. That is a good point you brought up. I suppose it's entirely dependent on the form's scaling, though it is super unquantifiable for Naruto. I agree. Listen, it's super unquantifiable. I can't give you a number. Whenever I make Naruto versus Luffy, I'll just start off with saying this is Lightspeed or whatever, just to give you guys an idea, but I genuinely, under no facet can I genuinely give you a number. It just doesn't work. It really just doesn't. Because whatever argument I make for whatever value I give, it will always come down to Eon, that is headcanon. Okay, so now that I've made that extremely clear, right? Now that I've made that extremely clear, let's talk about KCM2 Naruto. I'm gonna close this up real quick because I don't think I'm gonna need anything else. But if anything, I'll just reopen up the tabs. Okay, KCM2. How big of an amp is KCM2 in comparison to KCM1? How big of an amp is this cool-ass transformation in reference to fucking KCM1? I have no fucking clue. I'm gonna let you guys know right now, I do not know. If you believe in Laser Circus more than Raikage scaling, why don't you just use that? I don't necessarily believe in it because the databook statement also specifically states it is a jutsu made from water and lightning. Water and lightning don't make lasers. And I know that's a bit pedantic for me to say, oh, Eon, you've said yourself, this is fiction. Fiction can do whatever the fuck it wants. But what I mean is, if you're saying that it's a jutsu that combines water and lightning, why does that make light? You know what I mean? How does that make a laser? And more so because here's the thing, the statement specifically says that it makes these lasers. I don't think it necessarily states that the lasers are light. I could be wrong on this. Again, I'm going to throw it up on screen, but as Ryan Brook has mentioned, and I brought this up in my Madara video, and I brought this up, I think it was in my Madara versus Kaido video, the jutsu itself actually took longer to travel to the jutsu itself did in fact take longer to travel to hit the Ten Tails than the what was it? The that light flash jutsu that C and the others used. Like I'm really not even kidding. Let me see if I can find it. It's somewhere around here, right? I don't remember if it was in this video. Oh no, it actually might not be in this video. It might be... Was it in Madara versus the Admirals? It was probably Madara versus the Admirals. I remember it was actually a little bit later on. Damn, I should have put in little notes on this. It's all fine and dandy, but like, it's a bit weird to, it's a bit weird. Let me see if I can find the feed. I'm not gonna lie, I really do think I cooked with this video, but looking back at it, there are some things that I would probably try to change. We're not gonna talk about what I could change. We're just gonna focus on this topic of conversation right now. Let me. Jesus, where the fuck did I put that feed at? Did I put it this early? Oh, it was right here. All right, let me just slow it down. They use this jutsu at approximately the same time, right? They use the jutsu at approximately the same time, which I'm gonna be honest, like the amount of time, I think I counted it, the amount of time, like in terms of animation, the amount of time that it took for Darui and the others to use their jutsu right after C used that light flashbang jutsu. That jutsu is stated to be like lightning fast, and yet this jutsu still came out faster. But if we're going by like legitimate, you know, the amount of time in animation that it took, I think it was like a second off still slower. The light illusion, flash of lightning pillar. Yes, that's what the jutsu's called. Thank you so much, Ryan. I'm pretty sure it's light refraction through water. It's easier to say bending and going through a medium slows it down. That's fair. KCM just gets perfect chakra control of Kurama, full avatar form, and access to Biju Bump stat-wise. Not any significant change from KCM 1. See, I would agree with that, and honestly, part of me does. But at the same time, I'll always get some kind of comment saying, you're being absolutely objectively biased, Eon, if you genuinely do not believe that KCM2, for whatever reason, isn't stronger than KCM1, especially when you consider that, like, Naruto did struggle more against the tailed beasts. I can probably bring up those chapters real quick. Naruto did struggle more against the tailed beasts while fighting them in KCM1, right? Like, that would be the argument I can think of that, like, somebody would try to use, right? No, we need to actually go back. Yeah, because Naruto was struggling more against, like, the pre-transformed Jinchuriki than he was against, you know, all of this crap, right? Like, and granted, it was a 6v, it was a, like, what was it, a 6 or a 5v, it was a 6v1, but, like, 6v2, technically, but I mean, the point still stands, right? Like, Naruto is taking down these guys that aren't fully transformed. They do have a Sharingan and a Rinnegan, so they do share vision and also have some level of increased visual prowess. But at the same time, you know, they're also keeping track of Naruto better than Naruto did against the other tailed beast, whom they should be more powerful, and he just completely ragdolls them. It kind of like muddies the situation. I would probably argue that KCM2 is at least somewhat stronger, but again, to what extent? I cannot answer that. Diode had a good comment about the AMP KCM1 and KCM2. In summary, it's not more powerful, but more control. I see that. I see the comment. And thank you. I mean, even if we just gave Naruto lightspeed on a whim, it's still painfully slower than the bare minimum we can give for Luffy. Exactly. Naruto's writing just doesn't lend itself to quantifiable power scaling like One Piece's writing. And I do want to, and Hakon, you've basically outlined exactly what it is that I feel. Thank you so much. Because in reality, the thing that makes this whole topic of conversation, like, very hard to, you know, talk about, in, at least for Naruto's side, and this isn't Naruto versus Luffy, we're talking about, can Naruto and his friends stop the, Noah from crashing down on Fishman Island and the fishmen themselves? Is that you first have to figure out how fast Naruto is, because even if you wanted to argue that Naruto would have the power to, let's say, destroy the Arc Noah, even if you wanted to say that Naruto, for example, has the capacity to stop the Arc Noah, it becomes very difficult to argue that when he also would have to defend Shirahoshi. He would also have to defend Shirahoshi, who is driving the Arc away, and Arlong, who's coming for him. So we have to figure out how fast Naruto is. Now, on land, I'm sure somebody would say, nope, this feat right here is light speed. This feat right here, where Naruto blocks away the tailed beast bombs, is light speed. No ifs, ands, or buts. Eon, you're biased if you say you don't. But my question is, why is it light speed? A tailed beast bomb is never calced or even remotely, well, maybe I can't say calced because I don't know, somebody probably calced it to be, I don't know, 1.7 times the speed of light. I don't fucking know. The tailed beast bombs have never been stated nor shown to be light speed, right? The Noah is Atomwood, so it would actually be able to. So would he actually be able to? Again, we'll get to this point. Mofos on the side in One Piece will sometimes pull up with a bleach where they describe what's happening on screen. Yeah, no, that's accurate. But the thing is that, like, okay, for example, this feat right here, Kakashi thought that the Naruto was moving as fast as the Yellow Flash, or at least as fast as a Sensei, so sure, we can say it's light speed. Again, I don't care. But the point is, how much faster and how much stronger would KCM2 be over KCM1? Again, I can't tell you. I have a personal metric. Where if something is entirely unquantifiable, then I believe... sorry, brain fart. The bare minimum you can argue is a 2 times increase. If something, and in this case, if that something is a transformation is entirely unquantifiable, then I believe the bare minimum you can argue is a 2.5 times increase. Having a full-ass avatar form makes it easier handling the other Biju. I agree with that, 100%. I do agree with that, 100%, but again, I don't want to just discount Naruto because with a lot of the video topics that I make, people always come to me with the perspective and idea that I'm constantly lowballing the Naruto fandom. But I really don't. I really don't lowball them. I'm giving them the bare minimum that I can give them. I don't highball them because highballing is sort of arguing that everything is as optimal as possible, and many of times it's way easier to argue off of low balls than it is of high balls, right? Naruto would have no diffed Madara if he just used Susie's idea. What the fuck is Susie's idea? What is the oldest Calcon versus battle wiki for Naruto you have found? Read my comment above on the of one soldier's wiping a universe. Julius, I'm sorry, this isn't relevant to the topic of conversation. I really don't want to start looking up random calcs for whatever, right? It's harder to lowball. It's hard to lowball when what's canonically in the manga. And I do agree with that. It's harder to lowball, but it's also easier to argue for a lowball, right? I do believe that it is genuinely easier to always argue for lowballs, specifically because when it comes to a lowball, it's like, I'm just saying this is the bare minimum that you can, like, dispute against, right? If you want to say that it is anything stronger than this, you're more than welcome to, but all of that is harder to dispute or harder to prove because we're making up a bunch of different ideas. Susie's idea trumps all. I don't know what the fuck that means. So going back to this, if I were to say that KCM2 is entirely unquantifiable, then the best argument that I can use for this transformation at this point is that Naruto is 2 times the speed of light. How far would someone like Izuna get in One Piece? Izuna? Who the fuck is Izuna? Madara's brother? That was his who the fuck is Izuna? What if it's a 1.1 times amp? I don't want to ever go by points because we just start to get very complicated. All I can say is that CM2 is a 10 times amp, meaning that the QB influence is 10 times weaker than One-Tailed Cloak. Now, it's weirder to just go 10 times by 10 times. That could be headcanon. It's 100% headcanon because there's kind of no way to properly bridge, let's say, Sage Mode to KCM. We know for a fact that that Sage Mode could increase Naruto's capabilities in KCM tenfold, but that's more so a 10 times amp stacked on top of whatever the amp for KCM is in general, right? Yeah, it's not that you highball One Piece, it's just that the line of scaling is more apparent. There's just things that happen in One Piece and it has definable scales. 100%. In One Piece, I am given so much shit that could be quantifiable that when it comes to Naruto, it becomes a bit jarring because, again, listen, if I had anything to go off of, if there was even a fucking statement within the entirety of the next 129 chapters, if there was anything within the last 129 chapters that even remotely stated that KCM2 was several times stronger than KCM, I could at least say that KCM2 is like 3 times greater than KCM, right? I could say KCM2 is at least 3 times faster than the speed of light. KCM2 plus Sage Mode is 30 times the speed of light. So on, so forth, blah, 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 blah. You know? But I can't. There is nothing for me to use. It would at least be something if a video game had a given amp. And even then, I don't go by the video games because the video games aren't the source material. KCM2 only 2 times the speed of light in reaction. Okay, yeah, and I thought it was 10 times multiplier. No, we have no definable amp. We have no quantifiable amp for KCM in general. I've already gone over this earlier within the stream. You can go back and check it out. The only thing that I know for a fact is a 10 times amp is the Curse Mark version 2 because it is outright stated. Again, this is not me being biased. I am literally telling you. I'll actually open up this real quick. Let me close that. And I'll bring up the 5 Kage Summits, search for Sonade. I don't fucking have it, dude. Shit. I might actually have to find the statement. Jirobo, I'm just gonna look this up real quick. Jirobo 10 times amp. Yeah, right here. I'll just pull this up for you guys and I'll make it look prettier whenever the fuck. Right here. Now you're finished in this second state. My power is 10 times what it was before. I'm invincible. There you go. That plus this data book scan that says, after filling his mouth with oil created inside his own body from Sage Jutsu Chakra, the caster sprays the oil out as he ignites it with fire style technique. The flames are more than 10 times as large as flame bombs. This is fire style giant flame bombs. This is the fire style giant flame bombs. The jutsu is used to completely seal off the caster's escape. Okay, we don't care about the other shit. This plus its comparison to the Curse Mark version 2 because they both use nature energy, blah, 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 blah. People say Sage 1 is a 10 times amp. Fine, I'll give you 10 times amp for Sage 1. I don't care. How about low mid-balling and mid-balling? If you start going into like different randomized values that are all arbitrary because we don't have an actual value, it's still all headcanon. The very least I can argue for anything is always, if I don't have a scale for it, especially in the form of a transformation or a boost, I can only use 2 times the strength because that is the least you can give a character fairly, right? I think it's fair to say if Super Saiyan never had a multiplier, it would have to be probably 2 times greater than whatever Kaioken Goku used, right? If second gear didn't have a data book statement that said it was a 10 times increase to strength and speed, then I would probably argue it is at least fair to say that it is twice as strong unless anything in One Piece contradicts it, right? It also kind of sucks that Naruto's perceptual abilities aren't even remotely close to observation haki. It depends on how you want to define Sage Mode and observation haki, but that's more up for, you know, a different topic of conversation. Wasn't the Curse Mark or Orochimaru giving his chakra to the victim? No, it was probably retconned later out, so it could also be infusing the user with the same kind of, like, chakra that Jutsu's clan makes, and they just absorb nature energy, right? It's basically nature energy, or at least Jugos clan naturally absorbs nature energy through their skins, and it makes them not only transform into the cursed mark states, it also makes them, much more crazy. KCM has no definitive multiplier. We just have the most vague concept that it is stronger than Sage Mode, so over 10 times bare minimum. No, because KCM is arguably a greater amp than Sage Mode as a whole. But not KCM 2 / Sage of 6 Pass Mode. There's no definitive proof for that. The best you could argue here is that, like, the best you could argue here, and here's the reason why I say this, right? Let me see. What was the chapter again? What was it, 440? It was always like 441 or some shit, right? It's like, no, it's 444. It's 444. No, because at that point you have to argue that Naruto's base Naruto is at least 1/20th the speed of light. You'd have to argue at that point that, like, base Naruto is like 1/20th the speed of light. I don't know how you get base Naruto to that. I don't. Right? So, like, is it a greater amp than KCM? Than Sage Mode? Sure, but that would still only make but that still would be unquantifiable in terms of what KCM2 is, right? If you want to say that this amp is equal to Sage Mode just in terms of different kind of amps, and you want to say that KCM is still a 10 times amp, that still only makes Naruto. Gotta go watch some Dandadan? Okay, see you later, Lapis. I will be cooking in just a second. Hey, Eon, how much would you scale gear third? Most of the time, it's pretty much skipped over in terms of scaling, but obviously it's stronger than second gear, so would you argue it's at least a 20 times multiplier? Yes! This is a perfect example of what I'm talking about, right? If something, and again, it does not have to be a transformation. If something is entirely unquantifiable, then I believe the bare minimum you can argue is a 2 times increase. I've actually said this before. I've actually said this before in some of my prior streams. Third gear, I believe, is at least a 20 times amp to Luffy's strength. There's no way I'm going anything lower than that. If you think, well, no, you're wanking it. This is headcanon. Yeah, it's headcanon, but it is also the bare minimum multiplier you can give it. It is headcanon. All of this that we're talking about is headcanon. But at the end of the day, it is still the lowest value possible that you can give anything in respective to the series, right? To be fair, about Super Saiyan Goku, even if it didn't have a multiplier, it probably would be higher than 2 times since he tanks a lot of Frieza's attacks much easier compared to when he did before. Yeah, I know, but I'm just using an example, dude. I feel KCM isn't a multiplier because it's just Ninetales adding his chakra. Maybe, but it's also increasing his strength past what Sage Mode normally would, right? So anyway, I'm gonna sleep. I'm a bit tired also. How far would a Byakugan amplified Naruto go against? I am not answering that. I don't, that's not a question that I can necessarily answer for you right now. So, there's a reason why I'm going over all of this, right? There's a reason why I'm going through all of this. The lowest ball that I think is fair to give KCM to Naruto is 2 times the speed of light, right? And KCM to Naruto is able to manhandle all of these tailed beasts, throw them around. 5 of them charged up a massive tailed beast bomb, and Naruto was able to match it. The reason why this is important is because if each one of these can separately blow up mountains, then Naruto should be 5 times mountain level. Naruto should be 5 times mountain level, right? That would make him, I don't know, mountain range tier. I don't fucking know. That would make, like, Naruto somewhere around, like, the mountain range tier, right? Okay. And mind you, that's using the most powerful attack that he has at his disposal. So Naruto, with his most powerful attack at his disposal, can probably wipe out a mountain range of 5 mountains, right? I think that's fine. Now, some people like to use pixel scaling, and they like to use a shot like this, for example, to say, get a range for how big or how powerful these attacks are, or how powerful this explosion could be, right? There's a reason why I don't like using pixel scaling and just physics-based calcs, and it's because they usually use up a lot of assumptions. Here's the thing. They use up a lot of assumptions, right? Now, the biggest issue when it comes to scaling something like this is that more often than not, things aren't entirely up to scale with what an author would likely believe, right? For example, how tall are these mountains? Are they mountains that are 200 meters tall? Are these 500 meters tall? I don't fucking know. I genuinely cannot answer for you. Someone would probably say, well, you can easily find that if you use pixel scales, right? But then, how big is this island? How big is this landmass? What would you even remotely use to figure out how large the landmasses are in these areas right here, right? Because even in a scan like this, I don't know where the fuck Naruto and B are in regards to any of this. I would assume they're somewhere around here, but I don't even fucking see them, right? So where the fuck would they be? You know what I mean? And you're saying, well, they're very small. That's why I didn't draw them. I just think Kishimoto probably wasn't going to draw two little blips on the fucking map. But anyway, that's up for discussion. Again, blah, blah, blah. I don't care. This massive explosion is, as far as I'm able to tell you, unquantifiable, right? So it's genuinely unquantifiable. I don't know what else to say in terms of that regard, right? I think the easiest way to scale out the size of the tailed beast bomb themselves in comparison to the mountains before. Yeah, but where are those other mountains? Because I don't know how big those mountains are in comparison to these mountains. I think Pico scaling is fine, but for these calcs in specific, they go off of interpretation of vaporization. Without vaporization, BU bombs are calced around large mountain to large island level. And that's the thing. I think all of that is fine, but when I'm referring to all of this being unquantifiable, I mean, you are essentially just making up the assumptions. I've always said this. It's all fine. If you think that, like I said, it's all based on vaporization, and you think that they are large mountain to large island level, that's all fine. But within the context of the story, within what the story is trying to tell me, I have no idea what to tell you. Yes, it is very big. So, and sure, you could say it's 500 megatons of TNT. I don't agree with that. As far as if it's not stated within the context of the story, the reason why I say I don't agree with that is simply because it could be more powerful. It could be 1,000 tons of TNT. It could be 5 billion tons of TNT. I don't know. I can't tell you that. I use what is based within the context of the story. It might make some series easier to scale. It might make some series harder to scale. Those numbers, as far as I know, virtually mean nothing to me. Because I have nothing else to go off of. I am making up a ton of assumptions in order to wonder if those mountains are guaranteed vaporized. A lot of people assume these mountains are vaporized, and probably fair to do so. But we never actually get to see the actual aftermath of what these explosions entail. Almost every single time that I see a tailed beast bomb explosion, I never actually see like the aftermath of the tailed beast bomb explosions. So I don't know if they're actually fully vaporizing them. Something might be left over. I don't know, dude. I don't care. So back to this point. Naruto can blow up multiple mountain ranges. Sure, he's large island level if you want to say it. If you believe that this explosion right here, mind you, this explosion right here has the combined total of about 10 tailed beast bombs. Why do I say 10 tailed beast bombs? This is the combination of 5 tailed beast bombs, and half of the 9 tails is as powerful as about this big of a tailed beast bomb. So, 5 normal tailed... So, if this is 5 normal tailed beast bombs, and this thing can charge up to 5 normal tailed beast bombs worth of chakra in his tailed beast bomb, I would say this explosion is about 10 tailed beast bombs worth of damage, right? Just hearing it up. Again, if you want to use, and here's the thing, if you want to say at an estimated range 500 megatons to 5 gigatons as a low to mid ball, that's fine. Thor, if you believe that that is the scale, that's completely fine. Honestly, that's completely fine. Me personally, I have no reason to believe that. Just because, again, it is not stated within the context of the story. But again, don't try to convince me. This is just the way that I rationalize these things. I'm not asking anybody to convince me. I'm not asking anybody to tell me. I'm just telling you this is how this is what I can gather from the story. Now, yeah. Would Naruto hesitate to use a Biju bomb because fishermen civilians are nearby? I don't think so, mostly just because the area in One Piece where they're fighting at, the area, at least where, like, Fishman Island usually is taking place around this point. I'll just go back a couple of chapters because I do want to keep up this, I do want to keep up that scan up real quick. part of the reason, what is it? That was 38, so I'll just say 34. Yeah, the area where they're at, if it's able to house Tsurume, if it's able to house, let's go back one more page. If it's able to house Tsurume and it's large enough to house Tsurume in it, other people of Fishman Island are all the way up here, and Tsurume should 100% be able to fit in here. It's 300 meters tall. If each one of those tailed beast bombs, if Naruto's tailed beast bombs, let's say, have the same destructive range, in terms of like full explosions as these, then yeah, no, he shouldn't have an issue. If you're under the assumption that these mountains are at least like 200 meters tall or whatever, right? Again, it shouldn't be that difficult. But how would Ulquiorra's lance explosion compare to the 10-tailed I have no clue, dude. You're asking me for unquantifiable shit. I have no clue. When you stream again, I will answer all your questions you asked today on Friday. I'll do research for hours. If you want, Kiera, if you want. So let me just finish up this point. Okay, so I don't think he should have any issue. I think as long as they're within this coral reef, they should be fine in terms of like blasting tailed beast bombs. But now, I want to move on to Horty Jones, right? So, before I move on to Horty Jones, let's now talk about KCM2 Naruto, right? Let's now talk about KCM2 Naruto. KCM2 Naruto should be anywhere around, that's for One Piece, 38, 41. I'll bring this up for later. Don't let this make you feel any type of way, by the way. Don't make this... I'm just gonna bring this up for later as an example, by the way. Just to make things sure. Don't ignore what I'm putting up right now. Just ignore it. Okay. Let's talk about One Piece real quick. Horty Jones. Okay. Okay, so when this question was initially asked to me, when the question about Naruto and Team 7 versus the 10,000 fish, the 100,000 fishmen, it's 100,000 fishmen. Let's see actually where it is. Souvenirs, take them out. Let me see. Where is it stated that there are 100,000 fishmen? I'm sorry. Let's execute them. I just want to make sure I have this statement up first before... Okay. A total of 100,000 lawless fugitives from the outcast Fishman Island, right? This is weapons-trained fishmen, 7,000 strong, human slaves captured over this past month, 30,000 strong. There are, at the very least, trained fishmen that are 10,000 times stronger than the... Sorry, 10,000 times stronger. I am sorry. Let me rephrase all of this. I'm going to download this, by the way, because I'm just going to need these for later anyway. Fisherman Island. I'll just rewrite those because I'm done with that format that I was using before. I'm kind of done with it. I won't be using that format before. I'm just going to be using whatever, like, the pictures here show up. It doesn't genuinely matter. And I'm just going to take this photo real quick. Okay. There are 70,000 fishermen and 30,000 human slaves. Those fishermen are trained soldiers, right? Or at least trained fishermen. With weapons which would make them as this would make them, comparatively speaking, 70,000 humans, 70,000 weaponized and trained humans that are 10 times stronger than the average human. Fishmen are, I repeat, 10 times stronger than the average human, right? Let me go all the way. We're gonna go all the way to Arlong. We're gonna go all the way to Arlong Park. It's stated somewhere around here that fishmen are 10 times stronger than the average person, right? It's stated somewhere around here that fishmen are 10 times stronger than the average person. I'm also gonna, like, skip ahead. Village, weapons, Flame Star. I should have gathered some of these. I did gather some, not videos. I did gather some images from earlier. But, Fishman karate. Fighting me underwater, I can do that. I can breathe. Your kicks are half down the force. But Fishman karate, there's no loss in power. In fact, our power of some moves is even multiplied. Okay. So we'll just I'll just keep this up. And let me just talk about Fishman One Piece. It's just easier if I look it up through here. Appearances, Fishman, human-like, very greatly in strength, Fishman. Yeah, there's a lot of Fishman. Biology, Fishman are humanoid. Airways, biologically, given the mammal young, blah, 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 blah. Fishman. Some Fishman subspecies, half Fishman, Fishman, blah, 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 blah. Adaptable. Birth. Adaptable to human physiology. Interspecies relationships. Overall strength. All right. From birth. Okay. From birth, Fishmen possess 10 times the physical strength of normal humans. The disparity is magnified in underwater, where humans' power is cut in half, while a fishman's power is doubled. Jinbei himself noted that on dry land he had little power to offer. Considering the impressive strength of fishmen as powerful as him, this shows a massive difference in the potential of any fishman when in water compared to when on dry land. Chapter 70. There we go. Chapter 70. Okay. Just to make sure that people don't think, once again, I am pulling these numbers out of my behind. There you go. Fishmen are 10 times stronger than humans. Beautiful. Okay. And we'll also take this statement over here. And let me just... 86. Okay. Whatever. Okay, 10 times the average human isn't really that impression in fictional context. See, you say that, but Sage Mode also increases the strength of a human by 10 times, so it's actually very impressive. I want you to think about it like this. Imagine if out of the 70,000 fishmen that are part of this army, out of the 100,000 people on this army, 70,000 of them had Sage Mode. I repeat, I want you to reconsider the following, because you make it sound like it's not that impressive, and, you know, in any other context it might be, but in comparison to Sage Mode, which we've discussed before, is only really a 10 times amp, I want you to really think about this. For One Piece, for One Piece, right? The series where the physiology of humans is, if anything, more durable than the average human along most sources of fishmen, already dunks on the average person. Sure, you could say the average Genin, but now imagine the average Genin try to fight someone with Sage Mode. Yeah, no, I don't think so. Because these are also trained fighters. If the average person is 10 times weaker than a fishman, now imagine the average weapons trained warrior. All I'm saying is, imagine giving 70,000 people Sage Mode. Sure, they might not have the chakra reserves. Forget the chakra reserves. Forget the increase in sensory abilities. Just imagine giving them Sage Mode. Imagine giving 70,000 random people that are trained in weapons Sage Mode. I think that's pretty fucking insane, actually. Pretty much the base stat of the average trained fishman soldier is 10 times stronger than the average trained human soldier. 100%. Isn't the gap between city to mountain level like 10 times as a frame of reference? I don't know. Just raw physical amps. Yeah, just raw physical amps. Okay. So, now that we've created that bit of a disparity, let's talk about Horty Jones. Now, when I first started thinking about this topic of conversation, the first thing I thought about wasn't actually... Hey, what's up, Preston? Preston. What's up, man? Now, the first thing that I thought about when talking about this topic of conversation wasn't so much, can Naruto blow up the Noah? I mean, listen, Fishman Island is a country. It has multiple different districts. There are a lot of places where people... there will obviously would be a lot of places where people can live, but there are north, south, and east districts. How big big the entirety of the island is, I have no idea. I actually don't believe that there's any definitive statement within the entirety of the Fishman Island arc that states how big the island is as a whole, so we probably won't be looking for it. If somebody can tell me what it is and I can find it, we will put it up. We also have to take into account how built different One Piece humans. Igaram took an explosion that dwarfed an island. Yes, Igaram, a human with next to, as far as I'm concerned, no training, since all he did was have some guns strapped to the insides of his really weird hairstyle. He tanked an explosion that was absolutely massive. Yes, this is based off your idea. I'm gonna turn this into a video, but I'm not going to I'm not gonna like make like a full 30-minute video on it, because talking about Sakura and Kakashi as well, it just complicates things way too much. And I think I only really need to bring up this point to kind of prove something. I want to show you guys how big the arc is, because in comparison to Fishman Island, it was gonna crush the fucking island. It was gonna pop this bubble. It was gonna crush the entirety of the island. The Fishman people would have lost their homes, even if many did survive. This is a fucking country. I don't know how big it is. I don't know what the population of Fishman Island is. What is the population of... Ooh. What the fuck? What the fuck? Oh, I clicked the wrong thing. My bad. What is the population of Fishman Island? Okay, Fishman Island has a population of, ads. 10 years ago, Fishman Island 10 years ago had a population of approximately, I don't think I need this anymore since I already took the scan, by the way. 624, was it? Fishman Island has a popularity of 5 million 10 years ago. I'm not going to give you some arbitrary value of how much it could have grown by anything. I don't care to look at statistics from the real world to tell you if Fishman Island grew to 7 million, 10 million. I don't care. I don't care to figure that out. I really don't care. They were still borderline slaves and had no rights to even show up in the world stage. 5 million people. Right. They have a population of... Yeah, I did mean population. Thank you. 5 million people who are a lowball 10 times the average human. Yeah. Fishman Island has a population 10 years ago, prior to the start of the story, of 5 million people. I'm not going to try to look up what the size of other countries are, because again, Fishman Island is unquantifiable. There are districts in Fishman Island that people don't even live in. So once again, the island is massive. It not only houses at least 5 million people, but it also has districts and coral forests and all of these other locations that make up the entirety of the island. I mean, comparing the feats of Genin to the average human, it would probably take 10 times amp just to barely make up the difference. But not for every Genin. And again, that would still be unquantifiable. None of this is 100% definitive, so I don't care to say that the average Genin is even 10 times stronger than a human. I really don't care to even say that. You could probably argue that they're stronger. You could probably argue that they're weaker. But again, these are also trained combatants. You are still comparing average Genin to the average human. You're not comparing... And you're also comparing some Genin that are obviously way stronger than the average Genin. If you're going to say Naruto, even at the start of the series, is the average Genin, I'm sorry, that is objectively wrong with the shit that kid can pull off, especially in the first chapter, if he locks in. Like, no, we're not gonna do that. Okay, so I want you guys to keep an idea of how big Noah is, because I don't think this thing is just the size of 200 meters or 300 or 500 meters or whatever the size of this fucking explosion is. I'm sorry if I say, and this like throws some people off, that I think the Noah is bigger than this fucking explosion. But anyway, let's just say that. Let's just say, now here's the thing. Can Naruto likely destroy the Noah? Can Naruto destroy the Noah if he were to shoot multiple tailed beast bombs, blasting it back to back to back to back, just trying to slow it down, trying to stop it from crushing Fishman Island. Assuming that the tailed beast bombs also don't destroy Fishman Island's bubble, maybe, right? If you really wanted to say that Naruto, if you really wanted to argue that Naruto Uzumaki could fire tailed beast bombs that are big enough to blast away this entire ship, or a portion of the ship until the Sea Kings grab it, because, let's be clear, Luffy did not stop the ship. Luffy was planning on destroying the ship that was going to crush the island, but ended up not only almost bleeding out and tiring out because let me be honest, I know some people think Horty Jones is trash, and if you want to think that Horty Jones is some garbage villain that nobody cares about and he got no diffed by Luffy didn't try, I'm sorry to break your bubble, Horty Jones was a bit of a problem. Naruto can't destroy the Noah. He doesn't have enough firepower / stamina. I don't know about the firepower / stamina, and I only want to push back on this because he did give a fuck ton of chakra to over 10,000 shinobi, or approximately 10,000 shinobi. Now, the amount of chakra that was, again, here and there, what you actually think it is, because it was enough chakra. It was 3 times the amount of chakra that Kakashi would have needed to use a single Kamui. I'll show up the scans for that just for those that might not believe me, but anyway, Luffy was planning on destroying the island. He kind of bleeds out eventually because he was just tired. He was losing a lot of blood. The Sea King stopped it. So even if you don't believe that Naruto could bombard the entirety of the Noah, which I think is completely fine, let's just say he blasts like this portion of it right here, and the Sea King still stop it. I think it's at least fair to say that if you think Naruto's tailed beast bombs are large enough and powerful enough to slow down the Noah from just popping out completely, then sure, whatever, right? Horty is a pretty good villain, at least. He's supposed to represent blind hatred, 100%. Is the island the size of Hawaii? I can't fucking tell you, dude. It just houses 5 million people, plus a massive coral forest, and multiple different districts from northeast to south, right? Might run out of chakra, maybe, I don't know. Again, that all depends on how much chakra you think Naruto has. But if you wanted to say that Naruto could hold it off just enough for the Sea Kings to stop the explosion, I think that's fine. Listen, I don't care if you think Naruto can slow down the island. The thing is, Naruto would have to not only stop the Noah because, and there's no way anyone will ever convince me that Sakura can stop this thing with a single punch. There's also no way I'm going to be convinced that Kakashi can have the chakra necessary to Kamui the entirety of this thing when he couldn't even Kamui the entirety of B and he lost the tentacle. Granted, I will say that might have been more due to time constraints rather than anything, but he still would need time and energy to encapsulate the size of this thing. Is Noah made out of the same wood as the Thousand Sunny? Yes. The Noah is canonically made out of, is the Noah kit made out of, let me look up the Noah real quick. Noah. I'll look this up because I don't want to say that it is. Mass migration, Fishman districts. Appearance is an ark, a wooden ship. There is a large dip in the ark. Is made 4 stories high. A hoof, columns, the figurehead. I don't think it's actually made of atom wood. It's quite resilient, able to survive the pressure of 10,000 meters underwater for hundreds of years without any stain. It took Monkey D. Luffy many hardened strikes to start breaking it apart. Nevertheless, this ship is currently damaged due to Luffy, who started to destroy piece by piece. Yeah, no, I don't think it's ever actually stated that the Noah is made from atom wood, so we're not actually going to make that claim, but it's fine. It was tough enough to require Luffy to basically use a barrage of elephant guns coated in armament hockey. So, I don't know. You do with that information what you will. The reason why I think all of this is important to make clear is because we're also talking about the circumstances of Fishman Island. Can Luffy really fight Horty Jones? Sorry, not Luffy. Can Naruto really fight Horty Jones while also trying to stop, once again, look at these fucking coral hills inside of this. These massive coral hills that to some people, these are houses, mind you, these massive coral hills, and look at how big the Noah is by comparison. Yeah, they're giant pistols, yeah. Is the goal to destroy it? Then Kakashi can Kamui a chunk out of it. Right, but Kakashi cannot Kamui even a portion of this. This right here is larger, many times larger than fucking tailed beasts, dude. I'm not gonna give you some arbitrary value for it. I'm just telling you, a tailed beast is 17 meters tall if Gamabunta is 17 meters tall. You want to give him 20 meters? I don't care. The fact is, the tailed beasts would probably be about this big, and this thing is large enough to... This thing is large enough to crush the island. There's no way Kakashi is coming out even a tenth of this thing. Naruto cannot destroy it if it is strong enough to withstand 10k meters of pressure. The level of durability is unironically towards country level to small pieces. If that's how you want to quantify it, that's fine. Oh, marine ships are way bigger than Marine ships are way, at least longer than tailed beasts. Also, remember that most fishmen are like twice the size of humans anyway, so their houses just off of required infrastructure would be twice as tall. Maybe. Is it fair to say that the Noah might be the size of a medium-sized mountain? No. Mount Everest does not even reach the size of this thing. Dude, this is 10,000 meters below the surface of the planet. Of the surface of the ocean. This ship, if we go at least by, like, there are multiple scales to go for it. It looks bigger here, but, like, if you wanted to go by this, then maybe. But, like, there are also coral reefs that are, like, that are basically mountains. And the reason why I say that is because look at Horty Jones right here. He sent a water droplet. Look at how big these coral reefs are. Again, fishmen are larger than human. Look at how big these coral reefs are, and this is a tiny little water droplet bouncing through these giant coral reefs that are larger than the giant coral structures that are many times larger than fishmen, who are at least twice as large as humans. Again, I am not making shit up. I am telling you. Look at the size. Look up the size of sea kings and see the difference of the Noah. Let's do that again. Where was that chapter? Let's go back. Oh, wait, no, we have to actually go way forward. We really have to go way forward. So this is a Sea King. I think... Oh! This is the size of the Sea Kings compared to the size of the Noah. And they are almost the size of Fishman Island. It was dwarfing, which is a continent. If you want to say it's a continent, I don't think it's stated to be a continent. If there is a statement, look at Tsurume the Kraken compared to the corals. Then go back to the shot with the Noah. Another good example. Let's go back to the shot with Noah, and let's go back to Tsurume. Let's go back to Tsurume. This is a 300-meter tall Kraken. I'll bring up the Kraken One Piece size. Tsurume is 300 meters tall. Why is Tsurume 300 meters tall? It was stated in the One Piece anniversary dive into the world. It was 300 meters. You know what this means? This thing is unironically almost 20 times the size of a tailed beast. This thing is unironically almost 20 times the size of a tailed beast. Tsurume size. There was an actual manga, not a manga panel, there was an actual panel that I did use for this. What was it called? I'll do this all on my own time, but yes. I'll put it up on screen whenever I find it. The One Piece 15th anniversary, I'm gonna... Let me just take this real quick. Because there were verification. This one, I guess. The fuck? This one? Sure, verify me. Okay, I don't... Is there... Okay, what's new? Support, media, blogs. Okay, this is not it. Creature sizes. You should look up some size scaling for, videos for One Piece. It compares them gradually to real-world aspects. I know what you mean, but Not right now. Only because... Well, how the fuck did I find that image in the first place, actually? If anybody ever finds the image... If anybody finds that image and you're on the Discord, just send it to me. It should be all in Japanese, but it should show the size of Tsurume and the other giant sea beasts. Kraken size. I know it's somewhere in there, man. Oh, the pictures must have been taken down. That's unfortunate. The pictures must have been removed. Okay, that's fine. Whatever. Anyway, listen, Tsurume, there is at least a source for this. Tsurume is 300 meters tall. Listen, I don't know what to tell some of you guys. If you don't think that this thing is 300 meters tall, I don't know what to tell you, but the fact is, canonically speaking, again, I have things that I can use to prove how big these things are. I cannot do the same for most Naruto things. Sea Kings can be 5,000 meters long, bro. Probably, right? Mermaid Cove is stated to be 150 kilometers away from the plaza, so we know the circumference is bare minimum 300 kilometers. Can you give me a statement for that? Can you give me... Not a statement. Can you give me the manga chapter for this, Leafy? If you know where that's at? I would appreciate it. I know I had some of these statements with me, man, when I read through Fishman Island. You think the Sea Kings are canonically 5 kilometers? I think so, too. I just... Oh, man, I wish I didn't lose that fucking database. It's fine, it's fine. So, Tsurume is 300 meters tall. That is over 10 times the size of a tailed beast. Look how big it is compared to these coral. If this coral right here is taller than Tsurume, if this coral right here is about as tall as Tsurume, if this coral right here is about as tall as Tsurume, and you're telling me that this little water droplet is going right through these massive corals, right through these large mountains, straight through to the other side of the western coast of Fishman Island, I'm sorry to say this, Horty Jones is on a lowball mountain level. Now, let's talk about this little attack right here. Ichi Mizu, this little water droplet. You see how he's using his water shot, and you see how he's just flinging it casually at this guard? You see the way it goes through him, travels through this portion, blasts right through the coral that they're inside, goes straight through. Nobody knows what the fuck is happening other than it's traveling extremely far. We see it traveling through 3 mountains already, in addition to the one that it blasted straight through. Here it is going through 4, 5, so 5 more mountains, 6 mountains. It goes to essentially 6 mountains. It's a separate translation of the panel you're looking at. It's a separate translation. All right, I'll probably try to find a separate translation for it, but the point is, this little water droplet, mind you, this isn't the quote-unquote Fishman blue hockey that people like to talk about. This isn't hockey-based at all. This isn't some weird, strange power that he's using. This is a droplet of water, not a massive, charged-up energy cannon from the power source of the verse. West Coast, Mermaid Cove, 150 kilometers from Gyeoncord Plaza. Alright, let me look it up on One Piece TCB. One Piece TCB. What chapter is this? 631. Okay, 631. Oh, I just have to scroll down. Okay. This usually does have different translations, so I think it's fine to use. You said it was a different translation. How far is it gonna go? Oh, it still doesn't say it. If you can give me like an anime site, a manga panel that I can use that in, please let me know. Anyway. Also, Jinbei counters a stronger version of the water bullet from Horty. Yeah, we're getting to that. 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 How tough is the coral? Listen, it's giant fucking coral, dude. How tough are these mountains, my guy? How tough are these mountains? I don't know. I don't know how tough these mountains are. They're mountains. I don't know how tough this coral is. I just know that it is a giant natural landmark that is the size of a fucking mountain. If this giant kraken octopus thing is also the size of a mountain, man. Like, it kind of goes back to the whole conversation in my last video about like size versus the actual durability of things. We know that tailed beast bombs can blow up mountains, sure, but a tailed beast cannot blow up a mountain. So its durability, at least in terms of how much it can tank before it takes damage, is way lower than mountain level. So all I'm saying is, if these things are about as large as mountains, I'm pretty sure I'm just gonna say they're about as tough as a mountain. I don't know what to tell you. Fishman Island might be the biggest location in One Piece, maybe. Is it safe to say that the Noah is somewhere with the scale of 10 kilometers, going by how it floated in the 10 kilometer beneath the sea level? It's probably smaller than that, because we know that there are at least at depths of 10,000 meters below the ocean. We know that there are somewhere around like, what, 42,000 feet below the ocean, so given about the same range. It probably is smaller than Wano, it probably is bigger, I don't know. I don't know. There's nothing for me to go off of in terms of scale. Again, I have nothing to go off of in terms of scale. So, back to this point. Now, we've talked about how fast Naruto could be. We've talked about how strong he could be. He could be able, and I'll just type this down here, right? From everything that we've discussed before, Naruto's tailed beast bomb is 5 times stronger than the average tailed beast bomb. Naruto, the average tailed beast bomb is only mountain level at a low ball. Again, I have to go by low balls because I cannot tell you how powerful it actually is, right? And Naruto with KCM, with KCM2 should be at least twice the speed of light. There you go. That's our current scaling for KCM2 Naruto. This is the current scaling that we have for the guy, right? There we go. This is what I've got right now for Naruto. Now let's talk about Horty Jones. Now, I'm gonna write a couple of things for Horty Jones just to make it clear. The average fishman is 10 times stronger than the average human naturally. Which means any version of a fishman that is relative to any version of a human, a trained fishman versus a trained human, an assassin fishman versus an assassin human, a super powerful fishman versus a super powerful human. If we go by the same metrics for both, a fishman is always 10 times stronger than a human. Let's make that very clear. A fishman's power is doubled underwater. Okay. A fishman's power is doubled underwater. Now let's talk about Horty Mother-Loving Jones. I have an entire separate series of panels here that I want to talk to you people about, and some of it does kind of need the the anime for it, but I'll get to that when I get to it. Okay. So, for starters, Horty Jones is weaker than Zoro. Horty Jones is weaker than a post-time skip Zoro. How strong does that make Horty Jones? Well, with a single food pill, oh wait, no, I think I actually went too far back. Inside Fishman the Fishman Island castle, Horty Jones puts his hand on this giant door. Look at how big this giant door is. Again, he's also larger than the average human, right? Did you upgrade the Naruto for the sake of the video? Just curious. I didn't upgrade them. I just started off with KCM2 and things just sort of snowballed for me. Everything I'm about to tell you is more canon than any value I'm going to give any Naruto character. Whatever you think from this point onward, that whatever you think about me being disingenuous to Naruto, saying that I'm lowballing KCM2 or blah 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 blah, I'm telling you right now, I do all of that, or at least you perceive me lowballing Naruto because I have no way of quantifying him past 5 times mountain level and twice the speed of light. I don't know what else to give him. There is nothing that is quantifiable, that is stated, or that I can give him that is greater than that. Okay. Because what I'm about to give Horty Jones is fucking stupid. Like, actually fucking stupid. Okay. He destroys this giant doorway and collapses a portion of the wall thanks to his own raw strength. He hasn't taken it yet. They are referring to the energy steroid. Some of you might ask, well, Eon, what is an energy steroid? An energy steroid, as Horty Jones takes around this point here, are special pills that the fishmen take at different points in time. It is a drug. It is a power drug, to be specific. Right? Now, the energy steroids are stated right here. Fishmen are 10 times as strong as humans. A single dose of energy steroid will double that strength. 2 pills will double it again. That is an exponential increase in strength. He did not say the strength will will multiply to 4, then it'll multiply. No. Every single time they take a pill, the strength doubles. Okay? And the price of the increased strength is the shortening of our lives, but that won't stop us from putting our plan into action. So then the question is, how many pills did Horty Jones take? To be clear, he could do something like this: destroy an entire castle wall with just the grip, just the strength of his grip. I repeat, with just the strength of his grip, Horty Jones is capable of shattering an entire castle wall, dude. Pillars, doorway, everything. Without any pills to speak of. How many pills does Horty Jones take? That is a very difficult question to ask. As you might have seen earlier, Horty Jones fights Zoro underwater. Which means, mind you, he's already stronger than the average human. He is already verbatim stronger than the average human. I just have to say, Kurama's Tailed Beast Bomb was equal to Minato's Rasengan at 14, making Minato's Rasengan mount level. I think KCM2 should be around... Minato should be around Naruto. If that's wrong, just tell me. Well, not necessarily, because the moment that you're thinking of, I did read those manga panels before. 14-year-old Minato wasn't at full power, but neither was Kurama. He was being chained up by the adamantine chains that Kushina used, which are a sealing jutsu, which meant that, and he also didn't, which not only means that Kurama wasn't at full power because his chakra was being suppressed, it also means that Kurama was charging up a weaker, Kurama didn't fully charge up that Tailed Beast Bomb. What Minato clashed with was an incomplete Tailed Beast Bomb that Kurama was still only just charging. It's not necessarily the same thing. Okay, so he's underwater, which means, as we went over, Horty Jones is twice as strong now as he is, and Zoro's strength should be halved. Horty Jones got taken out in one hit by Zoro. And there is something legitimately important that has to do with this, you might ask. Well, Eon, what is it? Okay, let's keep moving on ahead. Horty Jones takes the attack. We move on a couple of chapters later. I think I might actually... What is it? 29? Okay. Horty Jones takes the attack and he says, I'm running low. Bring me more energy steroid. Okay? He starts eating the energy steroid. Later on, down a couple of chapters, there is a situation where Horty Jones is having a moment, so to speak. That drug gives strength at the cost of shortening... That drug gives strength at the cost of that drug gives strength at the cost of a shortened life. This is the price you pay for your addiction to it. Captain Horty is suffering from wounds received from the pirate swordsman. He's been popping energy steroids to dull the pain. We tried to stop him. We really did. My body's being torn to pieces. Those pills were dangerous. He's acting strange. All the CB surround him. Should be under Captain Horty Jones' control, but it's for the first time I've seen any of them afraid. He keeps powering up. Now, in the anime translation, they say that he's been taking a ton. I don't believe Jirai and Kurama's tail swiping away mountains, reshaping the landscape. Okay, and it doesn't... Kurama's tails don't actually swipe away the landscape. Or at least, the only time that they do that is during the perfect Susanoo majestic attire clash, dude. Like, I'm really sorry if I say this, but, like, first of all, it's the massive Rasengan, and he is in... It's the massive Rasengan, and he is in stage mode. And Kurama's tail swiping stuff, I think it's more for lore purposes than it is an actual feat that he's replicated within the context of the story. I'm sorry, but I'm generally just trying to get to this point. How many pills did Horty Jones take at this point? It's never explicitly stated. In one version, it's stated that he takes a ton. In another version, it says that he's been popping them like crazy. Let me just go back to it one more time. They said, he's been popping energy steroids to dull the pain. We need to try and stop him. His body's being torn to pieces. He's taking more pain. He's taking more drugs here than he did back when we first saw him. He's been taking more pills than when he took, somewhere around... shit, I lost the panel. It was, what, 17? No, we have to go actually way farther back. What was it? It was like 11, right? It was like 11. Yeah. I think I missed it again. Oh. Right here, he popped 4 of them. So it's times 2, times 4, times 8, times 16. Just to be clear. The only time that Horty Jones pops a handful of pills is around... Actually, it's not in any of these. Is around this point in the story where he takes a handful. In the anime adaptation, it shows that the handful that he had about 45 of these pills. Right here, he drops 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. He drops 15. In the anime version, and I spoke about this in my What It Means to Fight Monkey D. Luffy video, I actually do have a much easier to comprehend version there. Horty Jones ate approximately... Hockey explained. Okay. Horty Jones ate approximately... Oh, right here. Is making his subordinates state that he ate tons of energy steroids. That wound Horty receives from the pirate swordsman has been hurting him really badly all day. He's been consuming tons of energy steroids to make up for it. So one translation said he's been popping them. The other one says he's eaten a ton of them. His subordinates state that he ate a ton of energy steroids, which implies that he has consumed an abnormally large quantity. I can't tell you what the actual number is, but later on in the anime, it's shown that he has 45 of these things. There are 45 pills in the anime. 15 pills are overflowing from his hand, which means he must have consumed approximately 30. Now, I'm going to pop up a calculator for you guys. And don't worry, I've already done the math before. So, what is 2 raised to the 30th power? Can I ask you guys a question? What is 2 raised to the 30th power? 1,073,741,824. Horty Jones became 1.7 times stronger and faster and tougher by just eating these pills. They make the Fishman that many times more powerful. Now, these energy steroids also make Horty Jones faster. Why does it make him faster? Because he is able to dodge Luffy's attacks, especially in the anime adaptation, where he dodges Luffy's moves. He moves faster, he is stronger while taking these pills. Did I dislike my own video? Oh, that's crazy. So, back to this. Not only does Luffy respond to this, but now let me ask you guys a question. Let me ask you guys a question. And let's go back to this panel real quick. Let's go back to this. Horty ate approximately 30 pills, right? Horty Jones ate approximately 30 pills, so it is 2 raised to the 30th power. Right? Which equals this number right here. Right? Now, let me ask you guys a question. How fast do humans swim? How fast does the average person swim? Not only that, how fast does the average person run? Let's answer that real quick. How fast is the average person? No, I don't want to know the maximum speed. I want to know meters per second. The average adult's running speed is 5 meters per second, right? Okay. Now let me ask you guys a question. If Horty Jones could only travel, if Horty Jones only traveled at 1 meter per second, average human runs at 5 meters per second. Swims at how fast is the average person swimming? The average person swims in meters per second, falls in the range of 1.5 to 2. So we'll just say swims at 1.5 to 2.5 meters per second. Okay. Now, I'm going to lowball this number. I'm going to fucking lowball this number for you guys right now. As a matter of fact, here's what I'm going to tell you. Here is what I'm going to tell you. Let's say Horty Jones can only run at 1 meter per second. So multiply this number right here by 1 meter per second, and you would get, if you multiply this number by 1 meter per second, here's what you would get. And do you know how fast this number is? Do you guys have any idea how fast this number is? Speed of light meters per second. This right here, when I looked this up on my own time, let's clear all of this up. Let's just clear all of this up. Okay. The speed of light is this many meters per second. Wait. I need paste with formatting. Whatever. I'll just rewrite it. I don't care. I'll just rewrite it. Now, I don't know about you guys, but this number right here is a lot bigger than this number. Scroll up. Adding multiplier. If Horty Jones top swimming speed is normally 1 meter per second, eating 30 energy steroids would mean, sorry, not running, if his top running speed would mean he can run at 1 billion meters per second. Now, let me plug in these two numbers into the calculator to really give you guys an idea. Divided by this number. 3.5, 3.6. We'll just up it to 3.6. The difference is 3.6. .6 times the speed of light. Yeah. We're doing only 30 pills? You know, we're only doing with 30 pills. Are we accounting for the nerfing wound? What nerfing wound? What nerfing wound are we talking about? That, you talking about the slash that Zoro landed on Horty Jones? Are we talking about, like, that slash? Right here. Are we talking about, like, the slash that Zoro landed on Horty? Because that stopped being an issue. As soon as Horty Jones transformed, and it was in this state, see, this version of Horty Jones, yeah, sure, you might be able to argue that the wound was a problem. As soon as we get to this point, that's not an issue anymore. No, that's not an issue anymore. Yeah, no, that's not even remotely a problem for Horty Jones. This never becomes an issue for him again after he transforms. So, now let's ask this question. What would you guys say is a fair speed to say that Horty Jones, a fishman who gets twice as powerful underwater, a fishman who becomes twice as powerful underwater, how fast did you say he can swim, right? Well, a fishman would be likely able to swim, I don't know, 10 meters per second, right? Oh dear, should it really be okay to increase the speed 1 trillion times the speed of light with all 100 pills? If you want to say that he ate 100 pills, listen, I don't know how the fuck you're going to prove that because I didn't see him eat 100 pills. But if you were to just argue that Horty Jones did eat 100 pills, this 2 to the 30th power would become 2 to the 100th power. And at that point, Naruto stands no chance. All I'm saying is, when Horty Jones ate those energy steroids, he became, that was the second time around when he just swallowed a fuck ton of them. Remember, in order for Horty Jones to reach this state, he still had to eat a fuck ton of pills prior to that weren't wearing off. No, they were transforming him. So if you were to say, for example, Horty Jones, and mind you, they did not wear off until beforehand. So I think it is fair to say that Horty Jones ate 30 pills before, since he ate a ton of them. I think it's fair to say that the amount of pills that transformed him into that bigger, larger, roided out state, I think it's fair to say that he ate that many pills at that point, right? By the way, another comparison of the size of the Noah. Another comparison, mind you, this is the Noah outside of Fishman Island. This isn't in comparison to Fishman Island. No, this is the Noah outside of the bubble. Around the point that Horty Jones, before he transformed into this state right here, he started to roid out again. he started to roid out again. Luffy broke his shit. He started to lose his shit. I recall in the anime version, I'll double check this just to be sure, but I recall that in the anime version, he also ate steroids again. And he went into this roided out state. This is also just before he eats those other 30 pills, right? I cannot tell you how many pills he ate beforehand, but if he ate 30 pills before this, and 30 pills before that, 30 pills before this, and 30 pills afterwards around this point, and if he ate 30 pills around this point, and if he ate 30 pills before this, that would mean that Horty Jones, in fact, ate somewhere around, again, giving a relatively fair estimation, if we're assuming that he ate the same amount of pills twice, just hark them all down, the number would have to be 60. Let's try that again. Let's bring up the calculator again. If Horty Jones ate 60 pills, this would be the fucking number. Now, let me copy this number. Let's clear. Paste the number, divide, and now we're going to divide this number by the speed of light. On the second go around, if Horty Jones ate another 30 pills and went into, once again, this roided out state, he would be, this is the decimal point right here, he would be 3 million times faster than the speed of light. Sorry, 3 billion times faster than the speed of light. He would be 3 billion times faster than the speed of light. I think we will have to lowball his speed scaling before it gets way too insanely ridiculous, because that's going way too insane to the point I don't think the Admirals are that fast. 3 billion times the speed of light. Now, some of you may be saying, holy shit, Eon, you're calc stacking. Holy shit, Eon, you're bullshitting. This isn't even remotely possible. You're making up numbers, yada, 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 yada. Let me go back again. Horty Jones ate about 30 of these pills. You know what? We'll even say this. He didn't eat that many. He ate, I don't know, 45 pills total. He didn't eat 30. He didn't eat 60. We'll do a medium. We'll say he ate 45, right? The number would still be insane. Naruto can't keep up with that. As I mentioned before, I cannot give Naruto anything in terms of speed scaling because I can't tell you how fast he is. I cannot tell you, again, I cannot tell you how fast Naruto is. This number right here is how fast Naruto should be on a low ball if you say, well, Naruto KCM2 has to be at least twice as fast and twice as strong as Horty Jones, as KCM1, which, again, we talked about before, is light speed. On the other hand, here is all the information I got for Horty Jones. Fishmen are 10 times stronger than the average human. A fishman power is doubled underwater. Horty Jones ate approximately 30 fucking food pills. And what I said was, but let's remove some of these numbers. Now let me give you an actual quantifiable metric. Let's remove all that shit, right? Let's forget the 60, let's forget all of that. Let's actually plug all these numbers into the calculator. The average human runs at 50 meters per second. The average human can swim at 10 meters per second. Horty Jones, might I remind some of you people? Horty Jones, prior to all of this, 10 years prior to the start of the series, when Fishman Island, 10 years prior to the entire series, Horty Jones was actually a trained soldier. He worked for King Neptune's army. I'm not kidding. That is actually true. This is only if you believe that he ate 60. Let me make sure you don't just believe that One Piece characters are billions of times the speed of light. That's only under the assumption that he ate 30 before and 30 afterwards. We're only going to go with the 30 for now. Hear me out on this. Horty Jones was a trained soldier. He was one of these guys. So he was a trained fishman soldier. He's stronger than the average fishman. I'm not going to account for that. I'm just letting you know he is stronger than the average fishman. Let's go back to this real quick. Actually, over here. The average human swims at 1.5 to 2.5 meters per second. I think it is fair to assume, I believe it is fair to assume, that a fishman can swim at 25 meters per second. I think it is fair to assume that a fishman can swim at 25 meters per second. It is on the higher end of how fast a human can swim. It is on the higher end, and it is still 10 times greater than the average human, right? We're going to go with what is consistent. We also know for a fact that a fishman's power is doubled underwater. They specialize underwater. I'm not going to account for the underwater stuff yet first, okay? So, 25 times 2 raised to the 30th power equals this number. 26,843,545,600. Copy. Okay. That is how fast Horty Jones, if Horty Jones traveled at 1 meter per second, it would be that number. If he can swim at 25 meters per second, eating 30 energy steroids would mean that he can swim at this many meters per second. 26 million. No, let me rephrase that. 26,843,545,600 meters per second. Let's divide that again by the speed of light. Let's divide this again by the speed of light. He would still be 89.5. 89.5 is 89.5 times FTL. Yeah. So, swordfish in our world can swim up to approximately 27 meters per second. So saying a trained fishman swims at 25 meters per second is a reasonable claim. Thank you. I agree. I 100% agree. Mind you, this also doesn't account for the fact that he should be twice as powerful underwater. Listen, as a matter of fact, I looked it up. I did look this up. How many joules of force does the average human punch have? Between 10 to 100 joules of force. Between 10 to 100 joules of force. For comparison, martial artist punches can reach 150 to 450 joules, while a professional boxer exceeds 700 to 1,000 joules. Now, once again, this is how strong the average person punches. I think it's fair to say that Horty Jones, as a trained knight in the Fishman army, could probably hit about as hard as, let's say, a low-end martial artist. We're not going to go with the 450. We're going to go with only 150. Okay. 150 joules of force. 150 joules of force. 150 joules of force times 10, because he is a fishman, is 1,500. 1,500 joules of force. Okay. Let's clear that up. 1,500 joules of force times 2 raised to the 30th power equals, holy shit, 1,610,612,730, sorry, 1,610,612,736,000 joules of force. Okay. That is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. This is to the 13th power. This is 1.6 to the 13th power. Let's look up Versus Battle Wiki Jewels. Let's look up their tiering system for jewels. Let's look up what their attack potency tiering system is for jewels, right? That would put Horty Jones somewhere around, what was it, 13? The teratons of TNT, in other words, country level. And 6 says right here, I just did the math for over 100. I'm not sure how accurate this is, but Horty Jones would have 105 septillion times the speed of light. Yeah. And that's if he ate 100 energy steroids. So he would have the striking strength as a normal fishman soldier. He would have, the number is an outlier. Why is it an outlier? And here's the thing. Some of you might be like, Eon. This is hypocrisy. You don't use pixel scaling. You don't like using pixel calcs to figure out how powerful a character is. You don't like figuring out how powerful the Jewels of Force or the teratons of TNT are for all of this stuff. Why should I believe that Horty Jones can punch with the Force to bust a country? And I would agree with you. It sounds very hypocritical on my end, but let me say this. The reason why I don't like these kinds of scalings, as I mentioned before, is because there's a lot of factors here that you simply cannot take into account. How big are these mountains actually? You could say they're about 200 meters tall, but they're not actually 200 meters tall. They might be 400. They might be 300. They might just be fucking large hills. I don't know what to tell you, dude. Every single thing that you have to take to get the calcs for all of this stuff is usually requires some level of estimation. You have to assume that the explosion is this big. You have to assume this island is this big. You have to assume that these mountains are drawn at the right kind of scale. You have to make a ton of assumptions. All I used to get this disgusting number for Horty Jones is to know the fact that Horty Jones is a fishman. A fishman is 10 times stronger than the average human. A fishman's power is doubled underwater. Mind you, this is double this. You have to double this power. You have to unironically double this power if he's underwater. Horty Jones ate approximately 30 food pills. Right here. Horty Jones ate approximately 30 food pills. There are 45 in hand in the anime. 15 of them fell down both in the anime and in the manga. So he ate approximately 30. I have used only information that I got strictly from the fucking series in order to get that value. We know how fast the average human runs. We know how fast the average human swims. I gave him how fast the average human swims times 10 because fishmen are 10 times stronger than a human, but I would also assume that a fishman can swim much faster than a human, and this is still slower than a sailfish. Probably not saying they scale to this level, not because of the pill calcs are wrong, but because the level of pushback would not be worth the hassle. And you know what? You're right. There is a massive level of pushback that I would probably get for, actually making an entire video on this. Not to say that I'm not turning this into a video, but I would get a lot of pushback from this just because it seems completely inexcusable that I would say a One Piece character could have the force to punch away a country on a low end. And he would probably have the capacity to swim at 85 times the speed of light versus Naruto, who could only travel on the ground. If Naruto can swim at the speed of light, let alone twice the speed of light. Listen, could Naruto stop the Noah? Do I believe Naruto can stop this fucking massive ship? Or do I, at the very least, believe that Naruto could slow down the ship if he blasted it continuously with multiple-tailed beast bombs, if he used up no chakra, to the point that the Sea Kings can finally take their turn in and grab it? No, I don't think so. If Naruto could blast the Noah until the Sea Kings show up, that might be fair, but the only reason Luffy even had the opportunity to start hitting away at the Noah was because he took down Hordy Jones. Remember, he's not just punching the Noah, he's punching down Hordy Jones. All of the stuff that is happening at this point is Luffy essentially manhandling Hordy Jones multiple times, blasting him away with a fuck ton of punches. This isn't me just making it up. No, this is literally what's happening. Luffy is punching away a guy that has country level attack potency off of just the 30 that we could scale, off of just, once again, the 30 that we could just scale, and Luffy's not slowing down this thing. Meanwhile, I have to believe that Naruto, who is 5 times mountain level, at best, again, there's nothing else to go off for him, could blow up the ship apart. No, he can't blow up the ship apart. Luffy couldn't even destroy the ship. So at that point, what are the options? Well, someone's gonna say Kamui. Well, listen to me. I'll go back to it. This fucking Kraken is 300 meters tall. He is over 10 times the size of a tailed beast, which should be about the size of Gamabunta. Even if you say a tailed beast is 20 meters tall, he would still be 15 times larger. This is the size of the coral reefs. This is how big Noah is comparison to those coral reefs. I'm sorry. If a coral reef, if a coral reef, is about the size of 300 meters, in other words, about the size of a mountain, yeah, no, Naruto is not blowing up this fucking ship. Under no circumstance do I believe Naruto can blow up this fucking ship. As a matter of fact, you see these little coral reefs back here? That would be how big the tailed beast explosions are. Naruto can't stop the Noah. If you genuinely want to believe that if Naruto charged up a super duper massive tailed beast bomb. Oh, and by the way, I brought up this panel earlier. For Sage Mode. Sage Mode is a 10 times amp. Let's go back to this. Sage Mode is a 10 times amp. Sage Mode is a 10 times amp. So, Naruto with KCM 2 plus Sage Mode would likely be, should be, 20 times FTL at best. Once again, at best, Naruto should be 20 times FTL with KCM2 plus Sage Mode. If you, there's no bridge for me in terms of like how strong Vice Admiral Dahl or any of the other Vice Admirals are in comparison to Hordy. There are no Marines at this point are bigger than Luffy's punches in that scene. No, they're not. No, they're not. There actually wouldn't be. Actually, if you want to go by this panel, and here's the thing. This is also another reason why I say that you cannot go by panels. You cannot go by pixel scaling, because this is another thing that I wanted to go at. You cannot go by pixel scaling because you have to always assume that the author, is drawing everything to scale, which obviously it's not. Because by comparison, yeah, Luffy's arm right here would be about 300 meters big. It would be about the size of a tailed beast bomb. The Naruto slander is wicked. Eat some beans, man. No, why would I? Nothing I've stated here is not canon. Nothing I've stated here is even remotely made up of my own headcanon. I gave you all of the writing over here. It's all over here. Naruto's tailed beast bomb is 5 times stronger than the average tailed beast bomb. The average tailed beast bomb is only mount level at a low ball. Naruto should be 5 times mountain level. Naruto KCM2 should be at least twice the speed of light. If you assume that it is at least twice as strong and twice as fast as KCM, there is no, I'm not making up any information. I am giving you the best I can give Naruto through headcanon. I cannot give Naruto anything more than this. I cannot give Naruto anything more than twice as fast. Anything else would be some. What about KCM1? KCM1 is light speed if you really want to go into it. It is at best light speed. You cannot argue it is faster because he does not have any statement that says he is faster than the speed of light, and he does not dodge an individual that could be even remotely quantified at that point in the story past the speed of light. Naruto with KCM2 plus Sage Mode is at best 20 times the speed of light if you assume KCM2 is twice as fast as KCM1 and if Sage Mode is a straight up 10 times flat stat amp. No. Horty Jones, the reason why I can scale Horty Jones to this, and before you say, well, Eon, you're being biased, you didn't do any of that for Naruto, why did you do it for Horty Jones? Because again, Oda gave me the information. I've shown it all already earlier. If you need me to go over it, go back in the stream. Oda told us fishmen are 10 times stronger. The average fishman is 10 times stronger than the average human. He told us that a fishman's power is doubled underwater. Horty Jones ate approximately 30 food pills on a low ball because the only time we ever actually see him eat a handful of those food pills is when he's in the ship. It's when he's in the ship. It's right here. It's in the anime version, 45 food pills. 15 fall from his hand, the low ball is 30. I'm still low balling him. I am still low balling him. All of the information I've given you is canon. How fast do humans swim normally? They run at 5 meters per second and they swim at 15 to 20 meters per second. And mind you, everything I've said before about him punching with the force to destroy a country or whatever the fuck, I want to reply that is all under the assumption he only punches as hard as the average human. That is all under the assumption that he punches as hard as the average human. Horty Jones, with grip strength alone, is shattering a building wall, a castle wall, many times his size. And they say it right here. He hasn't taken it yet, right? No, he's still clean. Yeah, no, I'm sorry. When IMAX gave me this, we have no proof he ate more than 5 pills off screen. Yes, I do. Right here. Yes, I do. Right here. Right here. Yes, we do. Right here. Right here. I'm quantifying this entirely. I am quantifying this entirely off of this single bunch, not the bunch of Fishman energy steroids that transformed Horty Jones into this state. Not even accounting for the ones that turned him into this state. That's all off screen. How many pills he ate before this point? That's all off screen. But it is stated that he ate a ton of them. It is stated that he ate a ton of them. So you cannot just say he only ate 3 or 4. You cannot just say he only ate 5 or 6, because in a previous panel, one of the first times that Horty Jones is seen eating these energy steroids, he eats 4 off the top. I don't know how much a ton is. I don't know. Which is why I said he eats 30 bare minimum. There you go. Guys, here's the thing. Naruto, and I want to say this first. It is crazy to me, as someone who has been scaling these 2 series for the past 2 years now, it is crazy to me to think that Naruto, even with Sage Mode and KCM2, the second strongest version of this character, prior to gaining Ninja Jesus God powers, prior to gaining Ninja Jesus God powers, it is crazy to me to think that Naruto doesn't even get past the first villain. You put Naruto in this exact same situation, he straight up gets curb stomped. And you know who did not get curb stomped? You know who actually defeated Horty Jones to such an extent that the entire fan base has clowned on Horty Jones, stating that Luffy didn't even remotely try, even though it's not true. I don't believe that in the slightest bit. He is covered in blood. He is close to bleeding out. He needed a blood transfusion. You know who beat this fucking monster? Monkey D. Luffy. Yeah. Listen, believe whatever you want to believe. I feel like I gave a very comprehensive argument for all this stuff. I've been streaming for almost 3 hours. I've been streaming for almost 3 hours, 2.5 hours. I'm going to turn this into a video. I'm going to upload it into a channel. Ban CJ? What happened? What did he say? What Fishman Karate does Squirty have? Oh, by the way, you just reminded me. Speaking of Fishman Karate, before I even get to any of that stuff, let me show you guys something. Let me see if I could find this real quick. Okay. Right here, Horty Jones shoots one of his Uchimis. He insults. He said an insult and is on his last straw. You already know. Picking up information or to scale it. Yeah, you know what, CJ? If you're honestly just insulting people, I'm tired of having to talk to you, my dude. I'm just hiding you in general, man. I'm just hiding you in general. I'm just not doing this with you anymore, dude. If my mods are telling me that you're insulting people and you're doing some stuff, I'm just not doing it anymore, dude. I'm tired of it. I'm tired of it, dude. You're just not interacting with the child anymore, with the channel anymore. Anyway. Okay, back to what I was gonna say. Also, for reference, you remember that attack that he used to cover multiple different, remember that attack that he used to, like, essentially cover one side of Fishman Island to the other? As some people mentioned, it is 150 kilometers. Again, I have to find that. If it is, I'll post it on the screen. Yeah, that same attack Horty Jones was going to use to kill Shirahoshi and Jinbei. And Jinbei stopped it casually. The captain turned into a monster and made his water shot insanely powerful, but he deflected it with a water shot of his own. Jinbei's a monster too. I don't know how you acquired that power, but it's merely the Fishman Karate of a novice. So it's just the next page. Where is it? You have to give me the page and chapter number, dude, because I'm not finding it. You have to give me the chapter number. Anyway. I don't know what to tell you guys. Nope, I need you to give me a chapter. I'm not looking for this stuff right now, man. I'll look for it later on my own time, but I'm not looking for this stuff right now. I don't know how to tell you guys. Lapis, I understand that, but also let's not Lapis. Come on, we already did what it is. It's that's happened. It's in the past. Enough of it. No, go drink boobies, mommy's milk, whatever. I'm sorry. Don't do it. Check the Discord. I gave you the panel. I'll check it on my phone because I just can't seem to get it really work on my fucking PC, man. Let me see where you sent it. One Piece Poneglyphs. Thank you so much, Six. Thank you so much. I will definitely be posting it up when I actually edit this video. Anyway, guys, that is it for the stream. I feel like I've made a very comprehensive argument for this. If anybody disagrees, post it in the comments of the stream or post it in the comments of the video when I put it out. It'll likely be out sometime this week. Yeah, no. I think it's honestly kind of absurd that I have to continuously make all of these crazy ass videos just to try and prove that Naruto characters can even remotely keep up with One Piece characters. This is one of the reasons why I made that post a while back talking about why I didn't want to do it. Naruto, at the closest end to his series, because you cannot quantify how much stronger Naruto gets with that form, with any of his later actions. It's crazy to me to assume that, like, Naruto doesn't actually even get past the first villain in post-time skip. If I'm gonna be making more Naruto versus One Piece comparison videos or whatever, it has to be pre-time skip specifically, and it has to be latter half of Shippuden characters. I'm sorry, it's too much. It's too much. Please don't make this video. This will definitely appear as bullying. I know I'm going to make it because, one, it is more content for you guys, and if anybody wants to just have it as a backup. Madara gets stomped by Horty. Yeah, Madara honestly gets stomped by Horty. I have no idea how the fuck you get any version of Madara other than maybe Ten Tails to beat Horty Jones. And even then, how the fuck do you quantify Ten Tails Madara to be as fast as what's-his-face? You know what I mean? You can try to correct it in the comments, but everything I gave is the closest thing to canon evidence I can give you. Anyway, guys, please have a wonderful rest of your night. Please drink some water, brush your teeth, call your moms if you guys haven't spoken to them. Hope you guys have a good one. Wouldn't it have been cool to see Horty's calc scaling on Cynixo's speed problem video? It would have been cool. I think it would have been cool. I imagine he probably saw the values and he was like, no, if I use this, I'm going to be called a one-piece glazer, but it is what it is. I'm gonna be turning this into a video. I think... Whoa. Horty is country level on a massive low ball. Again, we only accounted for 30 of the many more energy steroids that he could have taken. I cannot give you a value beyond 30. I'm not going to give you a value beyond 30. But the number becomes astronomically more disgusting if you go to 32, 33, 34. I could get the number to be way more disgusting if I just throw in 3 more. This simply doesn't line up with the feats. It actually does. It actually kind of does. If you want to say that Luffy by Dressrosa is continental, and there are the statements that say Don Chinjiao and Don Sai can split the continents. I can easily do that. But anyway, guys. Hope you guys have a wonderful rest of your night. I will catch you guys all in a later time. Peace. The AP's there. If I could get Luffy quantifiably through the Horty Jones scaling to Continental by Dressrosa, yeah, no, it's 100%. It can be 100% be backed up by feats. But anyway, that's enough of that. Let's leave it at that, guys. Peace out. Also, it is kind of consistent if you think Luffy is objectively stronger than Horty Jones. Again, has a continental feat in Dressrosa, and then you could also argue Aokiji casually froze an ocean. And he stated that he made a continent of ice. But anyway, see you guys later. Peace out.